Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching and or listening to this, I want to welcome you to the latest episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. Now, of course, we're live. We've had some gremlins in the past. Hopefully y'all can hear us. Mr. Everborn Saga hasn't spoken yet. I will introduce him and he will speak, and hopefully you can hear him. I'm pretty sure you can because we tested it. But I am your host, Mr. K. Asante, TKO Asante on all the places you want to find me. Yes, we have a guest today who has not joined us yet, but as he does, we will have him join us. Let me introduce my man, the guy who's on them Twitter streets doing his best to be the one-man narrative destroyer, Mr. Everborn Saga. What's going on this morning, sir? Oh, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. Come on, man. Please don't tell me you're speaking and we can't hear you. Everborn, I can't hear you, sir. Are you doing this to me on purpose?
Messing with you. I'm just messing
you
with you.
son of a...
Sure.
Oh, he's doing it to me. Oh, this man, what you doing to me this morning? That's good.
No, I'm here. I had to mess with you. He had to
make my heart palpitate a little bit. I'm like, what's going on? Is the connection messed up again?
Got him.
No, it's good to have you here, brother. It's good to have you here. I hope all is well.
All is very well. We just got a new refrigerator delivered, and it doesn't fit in the cabinet space. So now we're gonna have the cabinet moved over like 2 inches. Fun times.
So, real quick aside, since you bring that up, some may know I had my house renovated, did all this stuff. The same exact thing happened to me. The difference is they literally had to cut my wall in order to put the fridge in, and my wife was like, "Hey, guys, while you're cutting, make sure you recognize that the door opens too, and that needs a few inches." They didn't anticipate that. Put the door in. It fits perfectly. Can't open the door. Was a whole thing. Yeah.
Because this one, the door is thicker than your normal refrigerator door, because like you can open the front part and get in the fridge without opening the whole door, because it's basically like a door on top of the other one. Because that's thicker, and the way that the cabinets were designed, it was designed exactly for a normal size door, to French door, to swing open. And now it doesn't open all the way, and so now we're gonna have to put like a spacer and a wedge and move.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
whole thing,
because you are not here to be listening to the Home Depot podcast, we are here for some of that great gaming talk. We are here for some of that Saturday morning PG-13 slander. And who else better on a day when we have so much slander to discuss than of course, our guest who has just joined us. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the septic sauce himself, the Gaz man. What's going on, Gaz? What's good, sir?
Sauce.
Uh-oh, can't hear you.
Sauce.
Uh-oh, still can't hear you.
Gaz, what are you doing to us?
Come on, Gaz, speak. Speak, Gaz. No, nothing at all. No. This is amazing. While he works out his, but we can definitely, we see him on the stream. We know it's not our situation, because if we couldn't hear Everborn Saga 2, then it'd be a problem, but we can hear Everborn. So it might be, you connecting into, oh, I just heard a little bit. There it goes. What's going on, Gaz? What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm good. I don't know why StreamYard did that to me, but okay.
That was because of all of your Halo hate, sir.
What are you saying, boys? You good?
Oh, excellent, sir. Excellent. Good to have you here, sir. Good to have you. And what a time to have you on this show. For those that don't know, Gaz is a lawyer. Go figure. And we have so much stuff to talk about that is related to law and law in general, world law, law in America, law in the UK, law all over the place. Law all over the place. Well, they think it's law. It tends to be politics, but that's neither here nor there. We'll get into more of that. But it's good to have you here, sir. Tell us some of the stuff that's been going on in your world, Gaz. I know you started a new channel. I know you're doing the septic sauce. What's going down?
I didn't know you started. What is going on here? I'm not subscribed.
You did
what is this?
No, what
is this? You gotta get your marketing together, man.
I do need to get that together. Yeah, man. I've got my own. I started my own channel called Septic Sauce, but that's gonna get branded rawly I'm doing some serious shit with. Serious stuff.
Oh no,
with that.
you get one.
get
That's
one.
your PG.
Will you get one?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
God, I blew that way too quick.
Yeah, you blew your load.
Also,
Pause.
you can also
didn't say
show
that.
breasts if you're painting someone on a couch like they did in Titanic. So
I can show my breast
PG-13.
like in Titanic.
PG-13. Yeah, so you could just. He says
Oh, I
PG.
see.
He says
You want to see my breasts?
nip slips are
What kind of show
PG-13,
is
so that's
this?
fair game. That's what he's trying to tell you. This is terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Paint me like one of your girls, Jack.
Stop, sir.
What have
Stop.
I joined?
What's going on this morning?
Yeah, man. Sorry, it's been
Yeah.
a busy day. I haven't slept much.
Oh, no, go
Septic
ahead.
Sauce is my personal channel. I am gonna do bits with that. I can't say too much because that's being branded up and is gonna look saucy. And I'm gonna use that channel to absolutely destroy the collective ani of the
Ooh.
likes of Colin Moriarty, MBGs, your Reforged Gaming, all these I can use
boy.
the sense of me.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna use that because
I'm gonna put the alert on that channel. I need to know when the videos go live.
It'll be very frequent in terms of update. You know, the Game on
Okay.
Daily, I take my time
Yeah.
with the editing. But YouTube doesn't like that. YouTube doesn't care about that kind of quality. It doesn't care about if you spend 3 days editing a video. It just cares about the algorithm.
Yep.
So my video is designed to be the best quality still, but churned out faster. I think a lot of people have been DMing me saying, "What's the source? Where's the source?"
Yeah.
Source takes me a long time to edit. I'm just one guy. So yeah, that's Septic Sauce. Watch this space. I'm gonna make a lot of enemies. Probably will get cancelled in a month or so, but you'll probably regret having me on today because by association.
Stop it, sir. Stop it, sir.
You'll be cancelled too.
Oh, please. Anyone that has watched this show and knows this show knows that we allow for free thinking on this channel.
I know. I've been on here. I loved it last time.
We allow
I'm
for
so
free
glad to
thinking
be
on this
here.
channel. It is what it is.
One of my best times I've had on the show. And ever since that show, we've been talking every day because Everborn freaking says every single tweet in that group, you piece
Absolutely.
of
Absolutely.
I want to hear more of Keosanti. I want to hear more about
Well,
I love you, bros.
I like to drop, I like to drop little gems. It takes a little while for me to, put it out there, and I leave it to my man, Mr. Everborn Saga, to slay the narratives on my behalf. I come back and I just read the tweets and just laugh my days away. You know what I'm saying?
Everborn's been working overtime this week as well.
Indeed.
So.
Yes. Every once in a while, I have to shake him off because he gets fleas. He lays with the dogs. It is what it is. You gotta help him out from time to time. But he's doing the God's work. It's good. It's
Too
good
close.
stuff.
I'm too close to it.
Indeed. But as we do now, let's get a couple show some housekeeping notes from the top out the way. This weekend, I should say, I will be on your podcast feeds almost everywhere. Okay, I have been. This is what happens to me, and myself and Everborn to a different extent. But this is what happens to me. They leave me alone. I'm doing my thing. I'm enjoying my show. I'm enjoying my favorite podcasters. And then out of nowhere, that bat signal comes from like 5 people, and I can't be like no. So I'm gonna be on many shows this weekend.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
besides the show, tonight you will catch me on The Shop Podcast with PTK Blam. So salute to him. It's gonna be a great conversation. Tomorrow, there might be a little bit of, interesting stuff with the Gaming Circle podcast on the Lord's Day. Just saying. So that's going to be a thing. And then in the evening, the Gamers Council, I should say, has asked me to come and join on them as well. So 7 o'clock Sunday night, I'll be on there. But I say all that to say, my wife has been very, very patient with me. So this show will not be more than 3 hours and 50 minutes. It won't even be 3 hours. Otherwise, I'll be in trouble. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to keep this one as concise as we possibly can because I want to continue to be allowed to podcast. Yes, that's right. I said allowed. It is what it is. So, yes, we're going to do our best.
He says concise and under 4 hours.
I do recognize that I do have the Everborn Bloviator on the show, so I got to be, be cautious of my, you know what I'm saying? But okay, let us get this thing started as we always do with some of the games that we have been playing. But let me first and foremost, let me prime the pump before we head there. For me, real quick, I'll just say it from jump. I haven't been playing much this week because of work. Work has been very hard, as well as all the ABK moving and shaking that you've noticed in the community. A lot of us have been paying so close attention to that. And of course, the added wrinkle of I got my baby in this week. So yes, the big man switch is on deck, and I've been doing a lot of configuring and doing a lot of, playing the retros and getting my TOTK on. We'll leave it at that because we don't want them Nintendo ninjas on our butt. But
someone, Kay, I'm gonna need you to ban Paris in the chat.
Oh no,
with his nonsense about Mario being better than Sonic.
No, hell no. We are not banning Paris Lily from anything. He is the man, and he will be on this show in due course shortly. But let the man speak, because we will talk a little bit about that one as well. And Gaz, I want your opinion, sir, because man, Hornets' nests have been kicked. The Twitter streets is on fire. I mean, can you imagine that I have had so many like retweets and likes based off of the ABK tweets that I've did, and the only one catching more fire is Sonic versus Mario? What's good? It is a conversation worth having. So we're definitely going to have that. But so let me kick off with some of the stuff we've been playing. What I'm going to show first and foremost is just like you guys. And of course we switched this thing around. Yeah. Just like you guys, I have been playing with some videos, messing with things. I've been doing tutorial videos and things off of the new machine that I have here in my hand. So what you're seeing actually is footage from the device. I've been doing some tweaking. I've been doing some doing some front end work. You'll see all this great stuff, and I'll edit it, put a video out. But I figured I'd throw it in the feed, show folks a little bit of the stuff I've been doing. But while we have this conversation, let me head to you, sir. Gaz, you are our guest. I know you switched. You used to be maining some multiplayer stuff, but that's been a while. What's keeping you busy these days?
Yeah, so since maining multiplayer and then jumping in the podcasting circuit, you can't do that. Otherwise, everyone's like, no, what do you know about games? All you play is Apex Legends. All you play is COD. So I had to make and you have to understand, I really loved multiplayer. So I made that conscious decision on the basis of, we do a podcast. People need to know. And I thought I had valid opinions on these single player games, but I was basically sabotaging myself by not doing that. So hard rule, basically hardly any multiplayer going to a single player world. And what that's led to is me playing. What was that?
He said, welcome to the dark side.
I don't ever do multiplayer.
You don't do multiplayer? Yeah, so that's been a whole shift, but it's a shift that, I'll be honest with you, I think it actually suits me, because we get older. We haven't got time. And we're content creators. We don't have time. You
need a beginning, a middle, and an end, damn it. Then you can move on with your life to something else. That's right.
Exactly. And there's no there's no middle or end in multiplayer, really, because it can go on forever. So I've been playing all sorts of this. Even this week, I jumped from Fallout 4 to what's it called? The Tears of the Kingdom, which is incredible. I've been playing I've been watching Final Fantasy 16.
We'll talk about that. I think that's also on Everborn's playlist. I want to hear about that, but
watch
continue.
List.
Yes.
That's a watch list, not a playlist.
So I need to know, guys. Like, my plan was to play this thing when it was available. Like, I have so much stuff I'm doing right now. Yeah, but people are trying to FOMO me into getting in there. Is it worth the $70? Or do you think that I should hold the line? Shout out to the ILP.
I wish I could share. Look, if I share, so every time I do a video, this might I can't really do it because it's got all my. Let me
you can't share it. You can't share it here because we're on OBS. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you're on OBS. Okay. So normally, what I do is I make a chart when I'm doing a review. I have Final Fantasy 16. I want to do a video on what as I'm playing it. I build a list. I got two columns: pros and cons.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's very simple. Pros and cons. Any middling comments or that don't really fit into that column or category, they go at the bottom. But I've got 2 pros and I've got a list of cons. Now you might think, well, Gaz, you're an expert. How dare you? We saw you try and make fun of Final Fantasy 16. Say, is it a game or a movie? Which I think there's a deeper conversation to have here about that. But Final Fantasy 16 is such a strange game. I think there are so many weaknesses with this game, yet I can't put it down. And because, despite the fact, and I think a lot of people don't understand the nature of my content sometimes, or the commentary. When I say game or movie, it's almost satirical, but there's always kind of leading to something. There's a deeper conversation to have here. And Final Fantasy 16 is that game where I am still playing it. I'm at level 24. I've got my 3rd Alcon powers, and I'm hooked to the story. But the game, the actual gameplay, is the poorest, by far the poorest part of this game.
Wow. Well, okay, hold on. What is your relationship to Final Fantasy? Are you an OG, RTS, strategy game? Do you remember it the OG way, and that's why you're feeling that way, or is it just this just did not connect with you? In period.
So I've OG loved Final Fantasy, but I've never managed to complete one. So Final Fantasy 8. I was doing it live on stream. I'm on disc 3, and anyone who plays Final Fantasy 8 knows disc 3. Shout
out to Team Squall.
Team Squall. Squall was my favorite protagonist in that. Yeah, I really liked him. I like moody, whatever attitude. He was really nice. Renault was hot. But I like that. Final Fantasy 9 went a little bit. It went cartoony. I played it, didn't really like it. Vagrant Story came around about then, I think, and that game is so incredible. Final Fantasy X was okay, but I really hated the protagonist. I liked the idea of Blitzball, but it just didn't get me. So I've played these games. I played Final Fantasy 15, the boy band version, and I kind of just fell away.
Final Fantasy 15 boy band.
Yeah, boy band edition. And it's a game the series that I do revere. But for a very long period of time, I've fallen away because you know what's happened with Final Fantasy X onwards. It's been a bit of crap. And this is where I'm saying it. Final Fantasy 16 has grabbed me more than any Final Fantasy game after Final Fantasy 8. Despite that, it is one of the worst. Like, it has Forsaken. It has the most basic gameplay loop. It has almost no RPG roots, man. Like, Forza Horizon probably has more RPG mechanics than this game. But
and by the way, put a pin in that RPG question, because that is a topic that I want to bring up. Myself and Everboy, we've been having that. That is a very interesting point you bring up about the RPG elements. Put a pin in that one. Continue, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something to be said there. But as I'm playing this game, I'm thinking, and I'm honestly thinking, this is a formula they should carry forward, but improve. Like, for me to say that may sound stupid, but if you are one of these old guys who liked Advent Children, who liked Final Fantasy Spirit, what was it? Spirits Within?
Spirits Within, yeah. The Spirits Within. Yeah.
I loved both. Yeah. I watched Spirits
that
Within
Matrix,
on my
that
VCD,
Matrix variant.
on my PlayStation.
Did y'all see that Matrix variant where they show you how they got to the Matrix 2 inside the engine of what do you call this, the Square engine? At the time, that thing was next level. I watched that thing. I think I had it on tape. Ripped tapes and stuff. It was just ridiculous. It was bananas. But yes, I feel you, man. I feel you.
And so for me, who watched Final Fantasy, who watched those CGIs and loved them, and I used to watch Spirits Within when I was a kid, and my PlayStation was chipped, and we had a VCD mod or something, and kept watching it 50 times. I don't know how many.
I know where you come from, sir. I know where you at. Let's go.
Yeah, you know, man. So I was just like, one day we'll get to these visuals. One day, I kept saying that. To play Final Fantasy, I say play, but to have that visual fidelity, whether or not the gameplay mechanics are lackluster, is still a special moment for me. I am still held by this game. I don't know why there are no black people in it or brown people. I'll be honest with you, that makes no sense to me, because I'm in a level where I'm basically in the Middle East. I'm like, bruh, there's a mosque in the distance. What are you doing? Put some of us in there somewhere. At least person aside, bro.
So Everborn, do you want to regale him with the theory? Go ahead. Regale him with the theory. Go ahead.
I do feel like if we were in there, black and brown people, they would have had us be the bearers, and that would have been
I think that would be bold. I think it would be bold.
I wouldn't do it.
Seriously, after Yoshi P's comments, you want him to then come and make the people in the game, and spoiler alert, the people in the game who basically are stepped on throughout the entire game would be the dark people?
It don't have to be those people. They have to be. You could mix it up. You could have the people who are the bearers black or brown. You could have their owners be black or brown. You don't have to actually do it. You can mix it up. You can always do it. So that's a weird defense there. If Yoshi P said, look, the reason why we're doing it is because there's a very strong theme of slavery here. And obviously, if we have black people, it's going to piss people off. If he said it like that, everyone's like, all right, fair enough.
That's what he should have said.
That's exactly what he should have said. But what was his defense? Oh, we're a game based on fantasy, but it's not. And I just still to this day am trying to dismantle or try to understand and decipher what this man was trying to say with that. Either way, look, I don't think it's anything overtly racist. I just think it's just different culture, because I work with a lot of Japanese clients. I understand it's not like that. We may not agree. Every culture is different. We've got pros and cons and everything, but I did find it weird that I'm currently in the Middle Eastern level. There's basically a mosque in the distance, and I'm like, what? Come on, man. There's a lot of us who are black, who are Muslim. You can put us in the game, bruv. But it's not a big concern. This is a meta commentary. I don't want people to, because I realize you can't make jokes about these things with Americans. They cannot take that seriously. I made a Flory Mueller joke.
I feel you.
Crazy about gun control. I'm like, obviously it's not a commentary on gun control. I'm just saying he's going to shoot up everyone if the FTC wins. But that was a joke.
Stop it. Stop it.
That's a bad joke. It's a good joke. It's a brilliant joke.
Sure. See, look. I for one can play Square games and still call them out for all their stereotypical BS that I keep seeing. I see you there every time I play Final Fantasy VII Remake with the blockheads and the ridiculous conversations, and you know, we've spilt enough, you know, square-faced shuck and jive and pity the fool ridiculousness, you know, all that, you know. But I'll still play it, right? But I will call it out, and I appreciate you, sir, for doing the same. I remember the whole Forspoken thing. I appreciated you, sir, for calling it out. Doesn't mean we're telling you to, you know, what doesn't mean we're telling you to go grab a pitchfork, and if you're playing it, you're a racist. All that is ridiculous. But when you see something that offends, you have every right and every ability to speak on it. And I, for one, when I see a person who doesn't look like me talking about, hey, why are there not people who look like him on this game? I appreciate that, because when people who don't look like me speak about it, that's when I know it's resonating, right? Because when we speak about it,
I feel. Yeah.
When we speak about it, it's like, whatever.
It's not a black person saying it. Doesn't really matter. We have that mentality, isn't it? Because we will obviously say that. Because if you're brown or black, someone says anything, you know, anti-Islamic, it's going to be bad. Like when Colin Moriarty was going on his rant, when I saw other people who weren't Muslim who were pissed off, I'm like, that's nice to see. You know? But I got hit with, you're not black, you shouldn't talk about it.
To me, unfortunately, that is absolutely ridiculous. You know, you and I have spoken in the DMs. We've spoken many a times. You know, I hate typecasting. You know, just like when I see ridiculous narratives being peddled in games by our black and brown brothers, we speak on it. Whether I am the one being spoken about or not, injustice is injustice. It just is what it is. So I appreciate you, sir. You will never catch flack from me about speaking about something you see that's wrong. You know, that's just what it is.
Because you're intelligent. Both of you gents are supremely intelligent. You put me to shame, but there's a question of intrinsically being, you know, actually having the, you know, they have the not. It sounds very patronizing, but it really is coming down to.
But we're still all gamers, right? But we are gamers. We're not telling you to go and use your money and all that. We're just calling it out, and then we're getting back to our game. That's what we're doing. It is what it is.
And the industry is maturing. That's what it is a sign of.
Yes. And if we speak on it,
it's important.
If we speak on it, since like to your point, since the industry is maturing, there will be adults in the room that go, that they do make a point, and start making positive change in that direction. That's why I feel like every time something comes up, I want to speak on it. Go ahead, Everborn. I know what angle you come at with from this, and you also have a very valid point.
He's going to mention Sonic.
He's talking about how should we.
I will, but not yet.
Go ahead.
I will mention Sonic.
He usually speaks on how we can't expect to be in the room. We can't expect to be represented in the room unless we're not in the room ourselves, which I always appreciate when he says that. But no, go ahead, Everborn. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I keep saying this over and over again. No one's going to tell your story properly except
for you.
So
that's right.
We need to make efforts to go and say these are careers we can do, and we can, and it's never been easier to release these games. The tools are available, the distribution mechanisms are available. We have to do it because no one else is, and I'm just tired of asking people, right? So you don't want to put me in your game, okay, F you, but so what? It is what it is. Now,
I love that, said, by the way. I love that.
There are very strong, and I think positive messages in the game. Like Sid's whole mission is making sure, the least of us is treated like the most of us, right? Like, so,
cool.
By the way, the voice actor for that, who is also
in Game of Thrones, probably.
He is from Game of Thrones, but he was also Lorath in Diablo 4. So,
cool.
He is great. And he was the Green Knight in the movie.
Nice. Yeah.
And he really steals every scene that he's in. So the voice actor for Sid is great. I feel bad that I can't remember his name. He was also in The Office, apparently. The UK version of The Office.
He was in the UK version.
Yeah, the OG version of The Office. Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
So now you said a lot of things that kind of hit home for me, Gaz, which is I play the game, I can't put it down, and the way the story is designed, you really just want to go and do the next thing.
Yeah.
And it almost hides the fact of how linear it is. Right?
Yeah.
Because and we can talk about the icon battles where you're literally not controlling those. I keep hearing people say, like, oh my God, that boss battle was amazing. That icon battle was fun. You're not playing it.
Yeah, thank you.
You are literally, this is coming from a person who really actually likes the game. Now, as a Final Fantasy game, I don't like it at all. But as just a game, and I feel like there's a lot of Sony DNA in this, right? But as a game itself, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really invested in the story. I think they have interesting characters. I think the world building is great. It just does not feel like
so. Everborn, one thing I will ask you to do, Everborn, is save your RPG specific commentary to the end, because that'll help us transition to news. Go ahead.
This is specific to Final Fantasy.
Yes, I know. No, I know, and right? I don't want to talk about that. Continue. Yes.
Okay. And so the other piece of it is those. So I'll just come back to what I was saying. Those icon battles are literally on rails. You're watching a cutscene play out, and they tell you to press a button, but it really doesn't even make a difference if you press the button or not. Right?
Oh wow!
Like that Gaz, you've played 2 icon battles. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So there's that part of it. I have never played an RPG that was this linear. Even the things that seem like side quests are really not. And if maybe I'm too early in the game and it hasn't opened up yet, but I got my second icon, so I have Garuda.
Okay.
So that's where that. I'm back in Rosaria now, and so again, I enjoy the game. The production value is great. I also don't feel like there's anything in here that tells me this couldn't be also on the PS4. Is that just me? Is there anything here that feels next gen about it?
Look great, but more than just PS4. Forget technical side. There's a lot of it where I'm thinking this could run pretty well. Not in terms of technically, in terms of the game design on a phone, as in because that's how little your interactions are. Even the combat, some of the Devil May Cry stuff.
So the complexity of combat is really shallow.
It's so shallow.
The combat was more.
In the space of 30 seconds.
The combat was more complex in Hi-Fi Rush.
See, let's ask a side question about this. A side question, and I find this really super interesting because. I for one, even after all the slander I give Square, and I will give them the slander because I think they deserve it. But I for one, by and large, enjoyed Final Fantasy VII Remake's combat. Right? I feel like it was a threading of the needle that gave the old school what they wanted and the new school what they wanted. I feel like why didn't they continue that? Why did they throw away all the old school, like the reverence for that stop motion, and go full bore into Devil May Cry land. Do you think that hurt it a bit?
I think the execution didn't necessarily need to be this basic. I was actually very excited. I think the idea is very good. But if you look at the base combos in the game, you press square, 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 and that's it. There's not even any so far, and I'm quite far into it. Well, I say far into it, like whatever. Level 24, third Alchem power. It's like you press square, like in Devil May Cry, pause, and then you hit other button combinations, and you'll have a combo mix. You don't even have that here. You just press right trigger. R2, and then you get the Alchem powers you use. It's very basic. You'll end up cycling through them very quickly in an encounter, and I don't know why they did that. But
so is this Rise Son of Rome level of shallow combat? Great game with shallow combat? Is that what we're talking about here?
I didn't think it was. I mean, I played it early on when the console was coming out. Rise to me was very shallow.
Yeah.
It's a very good question because it has massive Rise vibes because there'll be, and I will say, and I don't know if Rise did this, but there are whole sections in this game. Multiple, and I've recorded it multiple times, so people come at me, we can have a serious conversation about well, I'll make it funny, but the serious conversation about how silly it is, these redundant game designs. You'll have a cutscene and then walk forward 3 feet, press X,
and then another cutscene. Yeah, I've heard that many times. I've heard that from multiple people.
Map,
like weird placements of cutscenes too that really don't matter. Yeah, they really don't do anything.
Down to the quest level. Like I recorded a quest, and I knew it was gonna be like this before I even hit record because I'm doing the Elgato. I'm not using the PlayStation DVR. I'm gonna have to press consciously record because hard drive space.
Sure.
And I said, let me hit record. Let me just start this quest. These two people are hungry. No, this is a mainline quest actually. Oh, you need to talk to some people. Okay, boom. The person's right behind you. Forward X to 3 people. That's it. Go in. And that was the talking bit. Then have a one minor combat battle far away with a bunch of wolves, and you're like, this is bad.
So with all that terrible. With all that there, right?
It's still good. And it's
it's getting monster reviews. It's getting monster. It's crushing. It's talking about game of the year caliber stuff. Everborn. How good is that story?
It really is. Like I feel like I'm watching something like a Game of Thrones. But when I say Game of Thrones, not like they're ripping the Game of Thrones story. I just feel like the
quality level
world building is that much where I'm on the edge of my seat and I'm waiting to do the next thing. And so I am playing it more for the story than anything else. And I do again, for me, if you would have called this Final Fantasy Fighter or whatever,
sure. Fighters,
Final Fantasy Dragon's Lair. How about that?
There you go.
if you take my meaning,
I know what you mean.
Called it that, it would have been fine, and I have no complaints. Okay. I don't have complaints with it as just highly produced, you know what I mean? Mass market casual, action game. But I have not, and maybe now, like after Sid leaves you and you go on your own with your old person who I thought was your sister, but apparently she's not. Very weird. The ice power one. Is that is that Clive's sister?
That's not his sister.
Stop talking like you're assuming that everybody's played this game, man.
That's not sister.
All right, good. I'm glad because it was very awkward. But once you go out, Jill is her name. Once you go out with her, it does feel a little bit more like an RPG. But again,
everything
is super optional.
You keep dancing around that RPG talk. So let me pause you for a moment. Let me acknowledge some people, and then we'll get into that RPG part of it proper, because I really think that's an interesting conversation. But let me pause real quick and say salute to all the amazing people in here already. We have 147 people watching right now.
Smash the like button.
Please hit that like button, subscribe. For a small channel like ours, this is amazing. We appreciate y'all for being here. By the way, episode 97 means episode 100 is 3 episodes away. It's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a milestone for us. We're thinking about what we're doing. You know, if you guys have any ideas, holla at us. Put it in the comments. What you want to see? We'll probably just have a bunch of folks jump on and get ridiculous for one Saturday morning. We'll see what we do there. But
wait a minute.
Okay.
I see 158 people watching and only 56 likes. There are 103 people that are watching right now that have not hit the like button. What is happening? And by the way, that quick math right there shows that I'm better than the Harvard professor.
Oh, Lord.
So we can come back to that later.
You were priming that joke. You had a calculator up. Hold on. I'm not done yet, because I have to acknowledge Mrs. Joanna Dark in here. Good morning to you, sir. With the $5 super chat saying, "Morning, gentlemen. I can't wait for October 20th, as it will be the release of what remains of Everborn's knees. Chunky Sonic is better than Chunky Mario is better than any Sonic." Thank you, sir.
Fat Elephant Mario is not better than Chunky Sonic. But
people are ready to have that debate. Also, we have Web Dave in here from the Gamers Council, where I will be on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Cheap plug. He's here with a $2 super chat. Thank you, sir. He says, "Guys, bring on the sauce. Kay Asante and Everborn Saga rock." Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you being here. Always good to have you. That man, like, he is the king of interviews. If you haven't checked out his channel, you definitely need to. He has interviewed some of the greatest, like, gaming community members that you can think of. Such
and
interesting
Reforged
stories.
Gaming.
and Reforged Gaming. Yes. And we have, not to be outdone, Enigmatic Dreams in here with a $2 super chat. He says, "Just want to show some support to my favorite podcast." Bro, you saying that to me is crazy. The fact that somebody considers this their favorite podcast, that to me is still wild. To me, that is still wild, and I appreciate it.
You're famous.
And of course, please, infamous. Hopefully. Of course, we have the boss dog, Lucius Augustus, in here, and he has $5, and he says, "I have a question, gentlemen. If Final Fantasy 16 came out as an Xbox exclusive, would people see? Would we see people giving these scores and looking past all the bad quest design?" Now, Lucius Augustus, I appreciate you bringing up such a very, very interesting topic, because I'm telling you that will move us along to some of the news stories, but you'll see how I'm threading this needle, because the story that I'm bringing about here was brought about because Mr. Everborn Saga has been in them Twitter streets doing battle. I don't know if it's the righteous battle, but he's just been doing battle on all of this, talking about, hold on, of course. And what do? I just moved us to a, there we go. Much better. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. He's been on them Twitter streets doing battle, talking about how what an RPG is. How is an RPG? What is the essence of RPG? Now, that conversation came about within the bounds of Tears of the Kingdom, which people have smoked for, right? But Final Fantasy 16 has not been far behind in the back and forth about its RPG-ness or lack thereof. So let's strike that match, Everborn. What do you think of this topic? I know you've been doing battle on them streets. I found this specific headline super interesting. God of War is more of an RPG than Final Fantasy 16.
All right.
That sounds like fighting words. What do you think?
So this comes back to. It's funny that this article comes out, because what was I saying when I first?
We were having exactly this conversation, bro.
No. Like, so before this article came out, I was saying to people, it feels more like God of War than Final Fantasy, right? Okay. Yes, you are upgrading some weapons, and yes, you are leveling up to get a little bit more powerful, but you are literally just going from one zone to the other zone, very linear to follow the story. Sure. But why this became super interesting is because Stage Blow on Twitter, he said something. There was this poll that says who's going to be RPG of the year, and I said Tears of the Kingdom, and he said,
"Not an RPG, son.
Zelda is not an RPG. It's an action adventure game." And I was flabbergasted, because I have always viewed,
discombobulated even, if you will,
since the days of Link to the Past, I've always viewed Zelda as defining the action RPG, right? And So a lot of people that I know play a lot of RPGs. I tagged them, and I was surprised to see these all happen to be PlayStation guys. I don't want to say correlation is causation, but they say that Zelda is not an RPG; it's an action adventure game.
Now, let me add a little wrinkle to that. Let me add a quick wrinkle to that. Just a quick thing. My question, and again, this is not to bundle, or this is not to push people in one corner or whatever. Since the folks you discussed, since the people you've been speaking to, and I asked you this question when we brought this up, and I'll ask you here as well, and hopefully Gaz might have an interesting side to this. Since they are mainly PlayStation gamers, and there is a distinct difference between an RPG and a JRPG. There are distinct differences. And since
a WRPG
and a WRPG, exactly.
Baldur's Gate is a CRPG.
That's right.
Skyrim is a WRPG.
Wait, what's a CRPG?
Classic RPG.
Classic, yeah.
Oh.
OG, yeah. You know, right? So with that all in mind, right? What do we think here, right? What do you think of the thoughts that the reason why the folks that you're calling on, everyone, are saying, oh, this can't be an RPG? The fact that maybe they tend to be PlayStation gamers, and most of PlayStation's RPGs tend to be more JRPGs. Is it that uniform has been so ingrained over time that if you don't fit some of those narratives, if you don't meet some of those minimum requirements, then you can't be considered an RPG in their eyes? What do you think?
Wait a minute. So firstly, A Rodimus in the chat says,
salute to A Rodimus. Yes.
In an RPG, you create your own character. False, because that means you're saying most Final Fantasy games are not RPGs. Forget about this new action game. Are we saying that Cloud, since that's the main character you follow in Final Fantasy VII, is not an is not?
You see, this is why I think this is such an interesting conversation, because to me, like, people need to shed the sacred cows of the past. Oh, it has to have hit boxes, hit points. Oh, it has to be this. Oh, they're like, stories and game systems and ideas evolve, but as long as you have that main idea, you can have Master Chief run and it still be a Halo game, is what I'm saying. Just because he's running does it not mean that now it's not a Halo game. Just because it's got action elements doesn't mean it doesn't have to be an RPG. I don't know. What do you think, Gaz? What are your thoughts on this whole this back and forth? Adding Tears of the Kingdom into it, Final Fantasy 16. What do you think?
It's a very interesting discussion because of the manner in which the distinction between what we used to class as RPGs and what a lot of mainline games, and then you add in the whole element of open worldness, that kind of conflated and mixed and confused things. There was this conversation, I think, it's Alex got absolutely ridiculed for saying something like, I think Horizon is an RPG, or it isn't an RPG. Horizon
I think Horizon Forbidden, the Horizon, like, and then again, my bias will show. I love the Horizon series. I know that I'm a minority in that. I think that series is great, and I do think it's an RPG. It meets the stereotypical definition of an RPG. You got your XP, you got your hit points, you got your, all that stuff is very RPG-like, even though the moment-to-moment gameplay can be very action-heavy. So to me, that's an RPG,
So a lot of people the associations with it. Someone in chat says when you create your character, but you don't create your character.
But there are many games where you don't create your character, and it's still considered a hardcore RPG.
Absolutely. So that was wrong. Then you've got someone saying you have good and evil, and that's not true, because not many RPGs give you that choice of being good and evil. Is
Mass Effect an RPG?
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good question.
Well,
right?
Well, the answer, don't let Slow-Mo hear you say that, but the answer is yes. And that meets A Rodimus's test, where you can create your own character.
You can, yes. Even though we all know some folks out there are loving like FemShep, others love OG Shep, but you could make your own. True.
By the way, I did not do that, and I normally make a character that looks like me, but in Mass Effect,
I just kept it. Yeah.
Default.
Me too. That was his story. I kept his default. Yes, absolutely.
So is really RPGs kind of alluding to the more freeform kind of gameplay, where there are certain tentpole like things you need. You need to be able to develop your character. So you have your stats and stuff. Like other games that are quite linear, but there's a sense of progression in these games. Like you become progressively stronger. So there's
Yep.
one, but that doesn't necessarily make you an RPG. But then you have that element of it is quite good. Now a lot of people associate open-ended gameplay with an RPG. But then if you what's quite interesting is Final Fantasy, which one was it? Not 15, 14? The one that became really linear, only opened up at the end of the game.
I think
What
it was
was
13, wasn't it?
Was
The
it-
lightning returns thing.
Yeah, that.
yeah.
So that is like, well, would that stop it from being an RPG? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Then there's like this inventory, like your inventory management. Does that make it an RPG? That you associate that with that game? So you have that, and then
Yeah.
it's that the character attributes progressively getting stronger, open-ended thing, taking quests, side missions, all of that put together, and people then put that in a pot and say that
That's an
constitutes
yeah,
an
yeah.
RPG.
Yeah, but see, but the devs are evolving that idea. While you have
That's
that
why it
base
becomes
idea
confusing.
in your skull from when you played it when you were 10, yeah, it was true then. But it has been evolving more and more and more, like so much so that there are action games with RPG elements, and then there are RPG games with action elements. The question is, where does the coin fall? You know, and depending on who you ask,
Exactly.
sometimes it changes. You know, it's super
and
interesting.
that will always be a thing because we have a traditional kind of this RPG area has very basic groundings where we saw a lot of these things. RPGs were like Final Fantasy, there were like, you know, Vagrant Story, there were like these games. All that is evolving. You've got God of War now having these elements. So you're going to have that question. But back to the topic of what you've got on screen here.
Yes, please.
God of War is more of an RPG than Final Fantasy 16.
Do you agree to that?
I absolutely do, because there's so far there's hardly any real RPG depth in this game. Like, look at the quality. When you go in terms of gear, you get try not to be spoilers here, but you can buy it from the shop. It's very basic inventory management, basic, very, very basic. And I'm not even talking about RPG levels. I'm talking about a normal game. Like in terms of your gear, you can buy and manage very basic raw materials. You see that in Fallout. Like you have a crap ton of inventory management. You don't even need to do that. There's hardly anything in there. So
How
the
do you
game,
feel about
like,
the little
elements in this
sparkly
game,
things? That's just
it's
how
all
you pick up
elemental
everything.
stuff. Huh?
Sparkly
Like,
things.
yeah, so like the little blue lights, that's where you pick things up on your quest and things. It like, I don't know, it's weird, right? Because everything's kind of laid out in front of you right there. Like, you know, there's a thing here because it's like glowing with the lights coming.
Are you
off of
saying
it.
too much hand
That's how you
holding?
pick up everything in the game. No, okay. Here's a better way to look at it. And Gaz, you answer this question, and chat, you answer this question, and Kay, you played the demo, so maybe you can answer this question. What does Final Fantasy 16 do that God of War doesn't?
Really good cutscenes. I don't know. That's a
Come
good
on.
question.
God of War
It's a good
cutscenes are great.
question.
Don't give them that.
That's
Is that the delineation, the cutscene?
No,
I
honestly, it's a very good question.
It's a good question. It is.
What
Yeah.
does it do?
Kat, what do you think?
Yeah,
What
please let
does
us know.
Final Fantasy 16 do that God of War doesn't?
Yes. Think about that and give us some answers, and I'll read some of them out, and I'll call some of them out. While we're doing that, real quick, let me get Randy G's super chat, $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Randy. He says, Gaz, don't hold back on the ponies. Their meltdown will be very entertaining.
I will say that Randy,
Somebody
you know,
said
I
it
never,
sets PlayStation on fire. That's what it does.
Yeah, that's what it
I
does.
will never hold back. It does. That's that
Sycamore.
must have been J-Rock. That must have been
Oh,
J.
well, we've seen them news stories. Sycamore 7 in here with $10 super chat. Thank you, Sycamore. He's here. He says, yes, we would Final Fantasy 16 criticize it. You have to benchmark the game against what has been released this year. It does not even come close to Jedi Survivor. It's a step backwards. Wow. Yeah, that's some strong words. See, and I know Sycamore is out there playing these games, and he would not sit there just to cap and be slanderous. Why is it getting such glowing reviews? If that's
because
what
the story is so interesting and the production value is high. Slow-mo says the difference is 5 can jump.
Clive can jump.
Which, if we're saying that kind of makes
Oh,
it
man.
more of an action game than
Then it
God
does.
of
Yeah,
War.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely.
Final Fantasy 16 is a
in combat, you
platformer.
can jump.
Oh, and one more super chat before we can. Well, two more
Oh
before
my
we
God,
continue.
that's great.
Before we continue, and let's see here. Let's see. Why am I not seeing that? Hold on. I think my system is acting up a little bit. Forgive me, folks.
I can read it if you want.
Yeah, please do. It's pixelating
He
on me.
says, I can't
Iliad
pronounce his name.
Sholmovich.
All
Iliad
right.
He changed his name.
He
That's not his
says,
name normally. I know.
Uh-huh.
Iliad. Is that your name is coming up different?
Yeah, I don't even want to know what currency that is. I believe an RPG has a level of dynamism and flexibility on how your character interacts in combat or with characters based on attributes and skills that allow substantial difference in gameplay experience.
Fair point. Fair point.
So to that end, and Kay Asante, you asked me a very interesting question, which I'll come to after Rain4G's chat, which is hilarious.
Thank you so much, Iliad. I appreciate it. I'm sorry, my machine's acting up a little bit, so I couldn't see your chat so clearly. Yeah, go ahead.
So Rain4G says, is ABK versus FTC considered an RPG? And to that, I would say yes.
Absolutely, it
1000%.
is. Absolutely. I mean, we're the ones gaining experience points while watching it, so clearly. But no, go ahead, Evervon. Go ahead to reply to the chat. Yes.
So you asked me why I considered. First of all, I found it strange that all of the people who said yes, Final Fantasy 16 is an RPG, you dummy. Those were the same people that were saying Tears of the Kingdom was not an RPG. And to that, I said, for me, when I look at an RPG, it doesn't have to be open world, but you need to be able to go anywhere you want, and it shouldn't be as linear. There should be side quests. You should start from humble beginnings and working your way up to defeat this world-changing boss. Obviously, there's a world-changing event. The world should change while you are in it as a result of your quest, and then by the end, you become strong enough to take on the big bad, and that is entirely separate from
Elden
crafting.
Ring.
And hang on, that is entirely separate from the aspect of, like I said, side quests, crafting, weapons, armor, all those things to build up your attributes. And I believe Zelda has always had all of that.
Sure.
And you asked me, well, what about Elden Ring? And I said, Elden Ring, that's a very interesting question, because, being a Soulsborne game is its own genre, but they did make it open world.
They got your XPs.
So
they have fulfilled a lot of those requirements you're looking for there.
You can play however you like. You want to play as a mage. You want to play as a tank, like I played it with the Berserk sword. You can do that. But the reason I did not lean the way of RPG, and I could be completely wrong, but the reason I didn't lean the way of RPG for Elden Ring, which is one of my favorite games ever played, is there's really no narrative there, right? And the narrative is a huge part of an RPG. There's a lot of lore, but there's not really a narrative there. And that was the distinction for me. If there was a narrative, I'd say 100% it's an RPG. But it's not really there.
So for you, there has to be a narrative for it to be an RPG.
There has to be a narrative, and there are no real side quests. There are things you can do that are like side quests, but not really in Elden Ring. That's not really the focus. The focus is exploration and combat. But it is not. It's not.
So, Gaz, what are your thoughts on that? Is a minimum requirement of an RPG lore, story, not lore, story, narrative that takes you from A to B?
I think that's an interesting one. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that necessarily precludes it from being an RPG.
And you'll get the last word, and we'll move forward because we have other slanderous topics to discuss. So go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting question, but I don't have any strong feelings that way. But my gut is telling me that really has all the RPG trappings. It has the progression. You have a character that eventually becomes really strong compared to what you start off with. The base stats are pretty mediocre. It will make you can literally grind in that game to become stronger. And you have side quests, albeit not, and it's just it doesn't hit you with those menus. It has a very free form kind of design. I would have no qualms about Elden Ring being regarded as an RPG.
Interesting.
But it's a very fluid conversation, I think.
Yeah. And these are the conversations I think are beneficial for us to have, because as this stuff changes, I feel like we like the game catches you in this magic of your youth, and you remember it when you first like grabbed the shield and sword in Zelda, and that like crystallizes in your mind, and then from then on that becomes the barometer that you judge others against. And as they're evolving the formula, you start going #NotMyZelda. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So it's super interesting to talk about. But okay, so
and by the way, if you
ahead.
listen to Attic, by the way,
Lord Attic, what do you have to say?
He feels like, and he's spoken about this a lot. Even he doesn't think the newer Zeldas, like the Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, they're a lot. And shout out to It's Timmy. V2, but he feels like the new Zeldas, while they're great games, they're not true to the core of Zelda for him.
Of what Zelda used to be.
And he can explain that better than I can, but he's spoken about it many times. So maybe there is some validity to, I don't see it, but maybe there is some validity to Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild not being an RPG. I just don't agree.
Understood. All right, let us move forward. And again, 225 folks in here. It's becoming an average to have this much
and
people
only
in here.
97 likes. What are we doing?
Please,
you know what?
It's
because we didn't start talking about the FTC thing yet.
We'll get there. We'll get there. But I have picked, I've cherry picked some really interestingly, thought-provoking conversation that's also nice and slanderous for us, because we have the Slander King himself, and we have Gaz, the Sauce Master. We here. You know what I'm saying? So let me ask you to quickly hit that like button if you haven't done so. All 225 of you that are in here, and please, if you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing. We're on the march to the next big milestone. But let's take a quick pause here and get a little slanderous, because man, this thing has blown up my timeline. I appreciate y'all, the community. I do appreciate y'all, because you have realized that Everborn Saga is not a Lannister. He does not pay his bets. And as such, we need to get revenge on this man. And as such, we have now brought him back to the apple to take another bite. Now, Mr. Gaz, I want to catch you up to speed here, right? Myself and Everborn Saga, we had a bet going. Right? He was saying that there's no world where in the calendar year of 2022 at the time, right? Because 2022, we're in 23 now. The calendar year of 2022, that God of War would beat Sonic Frontiers in sales.
I didn't know Sony was going to cheat, but yeah.
That's neither here nor there, because there's context all over the place. Sony bundled.
Let
me be
this
clear.
actually came up on your show, Gaz.
This came up on your show. Come on.
What?
Yes.
You remember this?
When
Gaz,
Jaffe was there.
Yeah, remember? We this has been a thing we've been talking about for a while now. So basically, Everborn was saying that Sonic Frontiers would beat God of War Ragnarok in the calendar year of 2023, and I think he was smoking something bubonic. We did the whole thing. He lost. He ain't giving up them damn knees. We're moving forward. But here's where I am bringing this conversation to light, because once again, we now have another bite at that apple. And shout out to my boss, shout out to the man, shout out to my other co-host, Mr. John Wolf, for reeling him back in, because for some odd reason, I only seem to podcast with the staunchest of Sega Sonic fans. And of course, not to be outdone, Mr. John Wolf is exactly that. You might as well call him John Wolf Saga, because he is just as bad as Everborn when it comes to his love for Sega and Sonic, right? The bet is this. myself and John Wolf have a bet going, and the bet is this. I bet he is saying that within the first week we won't be able to find numbers within the first week. Let's just be honest.
We need the numbers after the first month.
I suspect. My bet is this: you will see numbers trouncing Sonic. What is it? All Stars?
Sonic Superstars.
Sonic Superstars. Forgive me. Sonic Superstars. And what will trounce it? Super Mario Brothers Wonder will trounce it.
Will come out within 3 days of each other.
They come out within 3 days of each other. Sonic is on everything, as Sonic tends to be, right? Oh, and by the way, it's not just Sonic and Mario that are back and forth. This is Sonic, Mario, and Spider-Man. These are the 3 bosses that are vying for your attention at the same time. And I say, of all 3, Mario will murder them all. While I will also say, I suspect this will be the best Sonic game in years. This is the Sonic game that everybody has been looking for. It's $60 for this 2D platformer, right? It's on every platform, right? So the wind is at its back. He has the capability to do it, but I still think that Mario will reign. What do they call it? LSD Mario? Chunky Mario? Elephant Mario will reign supreme. When this bet started, Mr. Everborn Saga, he seemed as if he had learned his lesson from the last time, but since then, he is now on that train of he's holding the line for Sega, he says. So he is now also on this bet, so I will get a chance to recoup the knees that I am owed. Mr. Everborn Saga, do you rebut any of this that I've put forth here? Have I put this in any terms?
I don't butt anything, sir.
Oh, I said rebut. Calm down.
All right. So anyway, the thing is this, right? We are only having this conversation, right? Because these folks were too scared to put Peter Parker up against Mario, but that's fine, right?
Did you just hear me say? I just said it will murk them all. It will murk Mario will murk.
Are you saying that?
Sonic.
Is that what you're saying?
I am also saying Mario will murk.
Okay, I need a
Spider-Man.
I need a side bet for.
Spider-Man. My digital receipts are here. I am saying it will beat them all.
Do you think Mario?
I think Mario will beat Spider-Man. Yes.
Okay.
I think Mario will beat Spider-Man. Yes, I do. Continue.
Now, the thing is, I believe,
and that's where my knees will get lost. But he will lose his knees comparing it to Mario. To Sonic.
2D Sonic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
In the month of October, I believe it will beat the 2D Mario.
So now, you're only talking in October. Okay.
Well, because that's when they come out. We're talking about the month that they come out.
Yeah, the month they come out. Yeah, yeah.
So when those October numbers come in, we are going to see Sonic on the charts above Sonic Superstars, above
Mario.
Right?
Okay.
However that happens, when the numbers come out, Sonic will be above. Now, I want to be very clear here, right? Because you guys think because Mario decided to do drugs and let himself go
LSD
and become fat as an elephant, literally, that he's going to beat Sonic, where people have been asking for an updated graphics 2D Sonic since like 2005, right? You guys really believe that this thing is going to be so close because you had a little movie come out?
Listen to this man. I'm telling you right now. Little Sonic movie come out. Listen to this man.
Sonic is going to leave Mario in the dust like Peach left Mario on the moon at the end of Mario Odyssey.
Okay. He's out there. He's out there. Go ahead.
I am standing on this square, and I am saying Sonic will beat Mario. That's the bet for the knees. And I want a separate bet for knees that Mario will beat Spider-Man.
Okay.
Are you accepting that bet, sir?
I accept
Mario
it,
will
sir.
beat Spider-Man.
I accept the bet that Mario will beat Spider-Man. Yes. I say Mario will beat Spider-Man. I say Mario will beat Sonic.
Wait. Slow down, because I think we might agree on this. I need someone who does not believe.
Yes, I say he will murk them all. I say he will murk both Spider-Man
I can't
and he will murk
that because I believe Mario will.
So you won't go
but
down
I believe
that
Sonic
path,
will beat.
But you still do hold out your 10-year-old hope that the rat might finally pull this one out.
At least his girlfriend Amy loves him and is not cheating on him with Eggman. Like,
I'll be
Okay,
very surprised
okay, yeah.
if Mario beats Spider-Man.
Okay.
I'll be very surprised.
Okay. So that's where I might lose my knees, but we'll see where I'm more like, and if I lose, I'm a Lannister, baby. I pay my bets. It is what it is. The knees are the knees.
I mean,
but I'm
still
telling
haven't
you,
got my knees for the Rogue
The
Ally yet,
knees
but
is
that's
the
fine.
idea, but you guys don't even get on the knees.
it is a term of art. It is a term of art that means ridicule will be swift and painful and will be accepted.
No. Listen, you can't have the sauce boss in here and have these weak ass bets. How about you have the world hottest, those shit? What is that shit?
Oh yeah. Give me the chips. Let's do the hot chip challenge. Let's go. Let's go.
Chip challenge.
Let's go.
Now,
let me be fair. Let me be fair. I will be fair. I have to be fair. I will call myself out. If there was a fraud alert sign, shout out to ILP, I'll be posting that right now. I am master of the hotness. I can eat anything inflamed. It's no big deal. Y'all are dying. I'm just eating it like it's no big deal. I eat Indian food the way Indians eat it. I'm African. So if you do the hot chip challenge with me, you will lose. It is what it is. I'm warning you now.
Okay, well, let's make it interesting because I can handle my spice as well. You need to dip it in the bomb hot
I have
sauce.
the bomb in my fridge, bro. I'm telling you, I am that guy.
So
I have the bomb
you're
in
gonna
my
have
fridge
a hot chip
right
challenge
now.
and you're gonna dip it.
I would dip it in the bomb. If you want me to do that, we'll do it. Let's go.
He said it.
Let's go.
He said it.
Let us do.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. But what I will do. What I will do.
When the stakes are actually remotely high,
I'm gonna do something better than that.
Okay, what's Everball gonna do? Let's go.
Better than that.
What's Everball gonna do?
If Mario beats Sonic in the month of October, I will admit that Mario is the superior character.
Oh, that's even better. That's even better. That's good for clipping rights, baby.
I mean,
that's clipping rights, baby.
It's not like he had 3 decades of proving that without a doubt. He's
Right?
actually going
I'm
to
just saying.
say, okay. What's the
But
last good
he's
Sonic
gonna
game?
admit it now,
Sonic
huh?
Mania? Come on, man.
Exactly.
No, but this is Sonic Mania with next gen graphics.
Exactly.
And
you know what? And you know what? I looked this up when me and John Wolf were having this conversation. As Sonic Mania, a great Sonic game, known by all to be one of the greatest Sonic 2D platformers ever. How much did it sell? 1 million copies. Lifetime sales. 1 million copies. And you want to take that up against
When did
Mario?
Sonic Mania come out? When did Sonic Mania come out?
Sonic Mania came out in
3
2017,
years
which
now?
gives it
wow.
even more of a tail, which means as time goes on and there's more Sonic games come out, you have now people going, oh wow, this game is great. And then after they watch the movie, they get another bite at that apple. That game has had the chance to get way more more fans for a long time.
You're divorced from the facts of the market.
Let me speak, and you can rebut me. I am just saying, people have wanted a 2D Sonic game for a long time. The greatest of 2D Sonic games that we remember, everyone will call it out, Sonic Mania. It's been out for a while. It's on everything, and it only sold 1 million copies in comparison.
Why are we pretending that a 4 and 5 and now 6-year-old game is just going to shoot up in sales now? Right? That doesn't happen.
We didn't even do it then.
But here's the thing. That's not how the industry works, right?
Okay.
The reason you
Everball, you're gonna take this L. If you took the hot chip challenge, I would have taken it with you, but you haven't done it.
So the thing is,
and you're Jamaican. Right? Wait, hold on. Wait, we're gonna pause there, bro.
He's gonna call you out. Let's go.
Wait a minute. I swear you're Jamaican. You're telling me you want to do a hot sauce challenge?
No.
What? I literally worked for Jamaican
Listen,
for 5 years.
He is highbrow Jamaican.
They introduced me to Ghost Pepper, Ray Nephew, everything.
He's highbrow Jamaican, sir. Highbrow.
Do you want me to take a shot of the Ray and Nephews on the show? I can do that.
Red shot of Ray and Nephew.
Okay. Go ahead.
So here's the thing, right? That's not how games sell, and it's also a retro game. So what I'm saying is, this is a post-Sonic and Sonic 2 and Sonic Frontier world where Sega is bigger than it has been in the last 20 years.
True.
And Sonic has never been more popular than he is right now.
Okay.
And he has TV shows And this is the Sonic game that everyone is asking. And we know that Sonic Frontiers did over 3 million copies. And this is a Sonic. This is the way people want to see Sonic more in 2D. It is going to sell more than Sonic Frontiers. Okay. So I believe that being everywhere, the fact that I'm going to double dip, and I know Nintendo's going to pull some Amazon stuff and try
let's
to push
be clear
Sonic
here. We are all, this is all jokes. We are all super excited for it. I can't wait for that 2D Prince of Persia, the Sonic coming to fruition, finally looking good. You know, all of them coming out. We're eating. As gamers, we are loving it, but this will be fun. This will be a good fun bet.
A long time for gaming.
You know that no one gave Sega smoke for the $60 2D Sonic, not the smoke that Prince of Persia got. You notice that?
That is true. Well, because we expect that from them.
They're
we expect that from them. Well,
the
you know
what? I
will just let Paris's Lily's chat right there. I will let him just let it sit there right there. Just right there. I just let that sit there. I won't even acknowledge it. Good sir. I appreciate you keeping the boot on the neck. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Let us before we move on. Let me catch up on a few of these super chats.
He was capping for Cyberpunk.
Stop it. Stop it.
Everborn, I'm now with you.
Hey. I will accept no Cyberpunk slander because as far as they've come, I still consider Cyberpunk one of the greatest games now. It is great. Let's move on.
What?
Yes, it's great now. It is great.
Have you
played Cyberpunk?
You mean the update? You mean the update that changes everything?
Since all the slander, since all the hate, I have since then rolled characters again on that, and that game is now excellent, like excellent.
I loved Cyberpunk when it came out.
I loved it too because then again I had a PC, so yes. So there will be no Cyberpunk slander, sir. I loved that game. I love that game. No slander, sir.
Do you know? But you know the new update that's coming out before Edron is that fundamentally changed a lot in the game.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And I bought a beast machine. I built a monster rig. I'm playing overdrive mode.
You got 450 overdrive with pot tracing. You lucky.
I got that liquid cooled BS, baby. It is what it is.
Hey, look at slow-mo super chat.
Yes, let's catch up on the super chats. We'll get there real quick. So. Let's go. So first and foremost, Enigmatic Dreams, $20 super chat. $2. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. He says, just wait until Xbox buys Sega the bundle Sonic. Yeah. Then they might actually do something. We shall see. Then we got The Black John with the $5 super chat. He says, the act of building your character, stats, class, and attacks makes it an RPG. Games with elements, action RPGs. That's this. So in other words, you know, there are subgenres, sub characters. They're all cars, but you can get a truck, you can get an SUV, you can get, you know, a few different things in the mix there, but they're still all considered cars. I think I'm on that page as well. And the other slanderous one, Mr. John Wolf, salute to you, sir. A co-host of Gamers Playground, Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, cheap plug, with a $5 super chat, and he says, Chunky Sonic is going to wipe that chunky plumber down. What? Me and Everborn are the ones to hold the line for Sega. Don't let these Mario stands scare you. Okay, sir.
Talk that talk.
It's getting heated out there in them streets. Let's see. DJ Oros, thank you so much for being here, sir. Let me see. Yeah, DJ Birdoros, right? Doros.
DJ
Birdos. Forgive me for pronouncing your name terribly wrong. I'm sure I did. Forgive me for butchering it. He says with a $2 super chat, Everborn, you chicken. Take that fire.
Thank you. Thank you. Why?
Right.
Is your stomach not handle that? Is it?
Come on now. He's a Jamaican in name alone.
Because you know what it is. Like I could probably deal with it. But I'm not letting that clip will live forever.
Oh, you're scared about the socials. Oh my God.
He's scared.
Come on, man. You sacrifice your dignity over Sonic.
Every time I have a positive post about Sega or Sonic, you're gonna have people like slow-mo right there in the mentions.
Well, but you know, but you and I both know that you also have something against slow-mo. Anytime he posts anything slanderous, you can simply just show a picture of him being slapped by Sonic. It is what it is. We have that now too.
I'm saving that. Yeah. I want to use it surgically.
Indeed. And then of course the man slow-mo backslapping here with a $5 super chat. And he says, I want Everborn to have a Mario profile pic on here and on Twitter for a week when he loses. I want the biggest Sega fan to have real consequences. That is a great shout. How about Mario slapping Everborn Saga's face, just like we did with slow mo, just like Sonic with the hand,
I got you. I'm gonna do you one better. It won't be a profile pic.
Okay.
But on Twitter, I will change my name to Mario is greater than Sonic.
Oh, for a week.
1 week.
For a week. Okay.
I'm invested.
Salute to you, Everborn. Salute to you, Slow Mo. It is what it is. That's right.
Nice.
And of course, hey, they just keep coming. Mr. Joanna Dart with a $2 super chat. I wonder how wolf knees and hedgehog knees taste, he wonders. That sounds like it needs a pause. That sounds like it needs a pause. I don't know.
Look at knees.
But okay. Let us move forward. Wait
a minute. No, we can't move forward. Hold on. Why do I have all these consequences and you don't?
Didn't I already say I'm gonna take the hot chip challenge, sir?
Yeah, but you said you're fine with the hot chip challenge. No, that's not. No, absolutely not. No, you're not slick. No, there needs to be consequences.
Same name. We'll do that and change the name.
Sure. We'll do the name changes. We'll do the name changes. I will do the same thing you do. How about that? Name changes.
And the hot chip challenge. He will add an extra.
Sure, I'll do the hot chip challenge.
Just because I want to see that.
Yeah, really want to see it. That's good. It's good.
I'm going to have to come up with something, but it's going to have to do with you bashing PC or something like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
There has to be some PC bashing involved.
Slow-Mo's going to have to acknowledge that console is the greater experience than PC. Something like that. We'll figure it out.
See, and more slander in the chat. Mr. John Wolf, he says a bunch of Mario stands on this podcast. Splendiferous, shout out to you, good sir, with a $2 super chat. He says, wait a minute, you Sonic hypocrites, you know you love Sega.
I love Sega. I love Sonic. I've always rooted for Sonic over Mario. Me and my neighbor, who incidentally happened to be American, we had this bitter rivalry. I was console warring before my testicles dropped, and I was Sega. I was all Sega. I was all Sonic. Even back then, people say, "Oh, no one console warred." Magazines had this. had a wicked magazine where Mario and Sonic were arm wrestling, and I would love to pay for that. I'll pay premium for that magazine.
They said people didn't console war back then.
People did. Yeah. People say they didn't. They did madly. Me and my neighbor were madly doing it. And I was Team Sonic
today.
All the way.
They're carrying on the
tradition, the schoolyard tradition. That's right.
That's why I love it.
Okay, we'll move forward, but let me pause our. Let me
wait a minute, Slow-Mo. You are in this because you brought up suggestions for the consequences of the bet. So don't think you just out of this now. The poll is getting close. 73 people voted, and 60-40. Sonic is going to get crushed. I'm sorry. Elephant Tusk is going to stomp on. It is what it is. I need more votes in the chat. Stand for something or fall for anything.
I will leave the chat up for I will leave the poll up for just a little longer, give you a chance, because I don't think you have a fighting chance.
A win for Mario is a win for the Simp Nation.
Right? Wow. He is going hard right now. Okay, let us move forward, ladies and gentlemen. With 250 people still in here, 128 likes. Please get them likes up. Please hit the like button if you haven't done so. Thank you so much. We're enjoying ourselves on this Saturday morning, giving you that PG-13 slander. And about the PG-13 slander, this one's a bit spicy before we get to ABK proper. This one is a bit spicy, and I think we should talk about it. Larian Studios, let's first and foremost just prime the pump right now. You may or may not know Larian Studios. You probably haven't played their games. They are hard RPG makers. Like OG, they are carrying the torch of the old school RPG, bringing it forward. They definitely have modernized some of the features, but to harken back to that conversation that we had about is it an RPG or is it not an RPG? These guys make RPGs through and through.
These guys
Hardcore.
never would have made Final Fantasy 16, is what you're saying.
Basically, they would never like. I have played both of their I forget the original Sin 1 and 2. I played both of them on PC, and literally both games. You know, think of your Skyrim likes. Think of your but it's a top-down isometric view a little bit. Graphics are detailed and gorgeous, and literally you can play the entire game, meet so many opposition, and talk your way through if you want to put your stats in that. It's that hard of an RPG. You can play the entire game, meet a successful end without killing a single soul. That's how hard RPG they get. Now, they are also a very indie team, and we've already this has already came out and already like been a black eye on out there a little bit, because first and foremost, they're now releasing this. They got a chance to do Baldur's Gate 3. They're releasing it as an exclusive to PlayStation initially, because just by the virtue of they have not been able to get the Xbox version working based on what they're saying, the way that the PlayStation version has. And the holdup here, based on the reports now by VGC, is the split screen co-op on the Series S.
Okay, but wait a minute. Let me ask you a question before you continue.
Yeah.
We know the Xbox version is delayed because they're a small studio, and the PC version is coming out first because that'll be ready first.
Because that's how they roll. They are PC developers.
Version, coincidentally, comes out on the same day as Starfield, and they made the point to talk about how it's 60 FPS. So my question to the chat. My question to the panel.
See, and this right now is when we put a tinfoil hat on him. We put a tinfoil hat on him real quick. Pretend those emojis are in the chat. Go ahead.
Wait a minute. Hold on. November 6th was not the original date. That's not when it. September 6th was not the original date. They moved it to this date.
Yes.
Knowing, right? Does Larian want the smoke? That's all I'm asking.
I don't think they do. I mean, let me be honest with you. Like, I don't know for sure. Right? I know their games. I love their games. They are hardcore RPG games. I've always thought that they were really, really cool. The fact that you can actually literally do whatever you want in it has always made it exciting for me. I don't know that they are quote unquote ponies as you would hearken. I think they've always been PC developers more than anything else, right? But I do see what you mean when not only are they giving smoke to Xbox for one reason or another, but then they release the game at the exact same day as counter programming and specifically denoting the 60 frames. It's kind of positioning themselves as pawns being used a bit here. I don't know.
Sony exclusive RPG versus Xbox exclusive RPG, both.
Are you saying the developers are holding back the game?
No, I don't think so.
That's not what I'm saying at all. That's not what I'm saying.
I mean, well, let's be clear. Hold on 1 second though. To that point, let's just go down that path of slander a little bit here, right? Like, we know that the policy at Xbox is if you're releasing it on S, you're releasing it on X, similar features, like core feature set, right? There is a conversation to be had that this indie studio, who has been catching a lot of smoke in this community recently because of this, right? Those who don't know the context, who hear that it's only coming out on PlayStation, they've been catching a lot of fire for it. Maybe they are a little bit salty going to Microsoft saying, come on guys, let us separate these console releases. We're still working on the S, allow us to release the X, right? And they're going, no, our policy is our policy. And they're a bit salty about that. So they're actually putting the thumb in the eye a bit here, because literally the smoke they're getting is kind of Microsoft's fault. Yes, it's true that the Series S is what it is. They'll figure it out. But because of that, they can't release it on Xbox at all until the X comes out, as well as the X, right? Whereas Microsoft could say, all right, policy shift. If you got the X, release it now. You can release the S when you can and when it's ready. Whether I agree, no, Everborn, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I agree with them.
Do not want to.
Let me hear you. I'm not saying, hear me, I should say. I'm not saying they should do that. I don't think they should do that, for the record. But maybe to the point of why they are like positioning themselves in the way they are now, maybe they're in that battle and they are salty at the fact that they have to deal with that slander that Microsoft is kind of letting them. Oh yeah, and of course, not to be outdone, Lucius Augustus in here with a $2 super chat, dropping knowledge as he always does. Larian Studios, $2 super chat. Thank you, sir. Larian Studios has 400 employees. Is that indie?
Wait a minute.
400.
So wait a minute.
That's not indie.
Let's go to the comment right before that from Slow-Mo, which is almost like a response.
Okay.
To that.
And of course, Slow-Mo backslap with a response saying an indie studio has nothing to do with its size. It's all about not having a publisher, which I agree.
So wait a minute. Hang on. If that is true, then we cannot use indie studio as a defense for something they can and can't do, since we're not talking about size. If we want to go by the strict definition that it's just that they don't have a publisher, don't say, well, they're indie, so they shouldn't be expected to do some things like this, right? So the point about the size is relevant when people are using the fact that they're an indie studio as an argument.
Sure. No, I get you. But
when
still,
we feel like getting technical.
But still, my point still stands. Is there a thought, and again, total speculation on my part, let's be clear, I'm not saying that this is real at all. I'm just saying, point still stands. Is the reason why, much like this FTC Sony battle, the thing that we're talking about, where we're going to get into, where it looks like FCC's using Sony because it's advantageous for them, is there a case to be made that Larian is just a little hurt right now because the community is giving them smoke and Microsoft won't help them because of the policy, and because of that,
Microsoft has engineers over there, right?
True.
They said Microsoft has their engineers over there right now. All I am saying is, if they want to court fate, they will be.
Yeah, they're basically courting fate. They're standing in front of the hurricane, and you're gonna wonder why when you get blown over, because it will happen. Right. It will happen. And Lucius Augustus is saying that we're trying to say that Larian can't make an Xbox version. I am not saying that for sure. Not saying that at all. I've actually played one of the original the one of their games on Xbox, so they definitely can make an Xbox version. I'm just saying, because of the way that information has been doled out. Oh, you saw Baldur's Gate come out, everybody's losing their minds, and then the news about it's only on PlayStation, and then you hear the backdrop information about Series S, and of course Series S always tends to be the butt of the jokes. They always tend to be like, well, it's holding us back. And once again, here we are again having a similar conversation. Are they putting themselves in a position saying, come on, guys, you're not helping us. You're not Microsoft. You're not shielding us from all this. You're letting us take the smoke, so we're going to be on PlayStation side. Is that what's happening here? Guys, what do you think?
I think it's really just a case of, look, if they're frustrated, they're entitled to be. Really, and that maybe that, I think that generally may be a factor there. But I think the main story is actually staring us in the face if you're watching the stream, which is the fact that the Series S is holding back. Another example of this, where the Series S is a problem. And people may say, the Series S is a masterstroke when it comes to its positioning and sales. It did really well. But over a period of time, it has become a headache. As soon as it was announced, we had various developers also espouse that as a problem. But I also had Dirt 5's developer there, the directors wax lyrical about it and saying, no, it's brilliant. So you're getting all these different opinions, but ultimately, we should take that at face value and then ask
this
the
is
question
a developer
about,
having a problem. Absolutely speaking on it. Now, I will rebut you, but go ahead. I'll rebut you from a technical perspective, but go ahead and rebut. Go ahead.
But and again, I don't profess to have the technical knowledge because I haven't developed on the Series S. I'm not a developer. But you've had a myriad of different kind of views. You had the people at Bethesda who said it, remember? And then as soon as they said it, ZeniMax got acquired. They deleted their tweets. You had Remedy basically being very upfront and saying, look, the Microsoft's development tools, they've changed, whatever. It's just another headache for them to develop for another SKU.
I love Lucius Augustus's chat here. He says, I refuse, with all caps, to hear any slander about the Series S when people are going to be running this on the Steam Deck. For sure. Big fact. Not split screen. Not split screen. Probably.
Well,
not.
that's the problem though. The holdup is due to split screen running on Series
Well,
X.
but on
don't know.
PC, you know, you won't be playing that on split screen. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I mean,
besides, on PC, they don't have to make sure it's profiled and working. They can say this is the hardware. If you can run it, great. If you can't, you can't. Right. Whereas on Series S, it must work and they must prove it before they are allowed to release it. So a little bit of a difference is there. Go ahead, sir.
The RAM issue seems like it's a pertinent one, and we're 3 years in and we're starting to see it. Whether or not the console may have enough power anyway, but it's just a very valuable dev resource and time that needs to be spent on this. So, you know, it's... I can't just sit there and say it's developing the developers. The developers are at fault. I can't do that.
Definitely not.
Let me start out.
Speak. Yeah.
Let me start out by saying it is what it is, right?
Yes.
So I'm not holding this against.
Yes, it is.
I'm not holding this against the developers, right? But the purpose of the Series S, much like the Switch, and nobody had a problem.
Their ninth generation console. We'll
we can talk about that in a second, because the Wii U was Gen 8, so the Switch
was Gen 8. Yes, so this is literally Gen 9, the ninth generation of the Nintendo console. I'm sorry, continue. Yes.
but anyway, you know, you create something at a price point to create a certain market, right? And if you want access to that market, you have to look at the constraints of that platform, right? So you say, right, I want to have access to 140 million Switch games, so I'm going to find a way to port Apex Legend and Doom Eternal and all these other games that had to be ported to the Switch. Now, those games came afterwards. That's why I say it is what it is. None of those games came day and date to the Switch. And so the fact is, it takes more time. And at the end of the day, when we are talking about console development, if you have a team, and I don't care what size your team is, you have a date that you want to hit, right? You have the PC optimization people, right? That which will theoretically be the easiest, right? Because that's moving target, whatever. And then you have a team who is going to optimize for the PlayStation, and another team who's going to optimize for the Xbox. And for the PlayStation, who happens to have a larger audience, also only has one SKU to optimize for.
Yep.
On the Xbox, it is not that it can't be done, it takes more time. And taking more time...
One thing though, and I agree on all points you're making, the only piece that you forgot about that is, not only does it take more time, but they also do things differently technologically. So it's not like it's the same path, but it'll just take you time to get there. You'll have to take a different team, take a different path specifically for Xbox. That is the status on the ground. But
Xbox, who has half the market presence as the PlayStation, who's only telling you have one SKU to deal with. Yes. So that team now has to optimize for the X and the S in the same amount of time that they have to optimize for the PlayStation, who has a larger install base. What do you think is going to happen? That is not the fault of the developer, but also
for the Xbox.
Well, I don't even know that it's smoke for the Xbox, because the purpose of the Series S is to get the platform into more people's hands by creating something that has a lower price.
Let me rebut a little bit. Let me finish
this point. Let me just finish this point. Yeah. So if you want access to that market of Series S owners, you have to do what you have to do to optimize for. The question is, sometimes it will take time, and that's it. And Microsoft cannot say to developers, you don't have to do this.
Yes, they definitely can't say that, because that's a slippery slope. It's over.
You're going to have a lot of people not doing it.
100%.
So the reason it exists to get it in more people's hands. If you want access to those more people, you have to do the work, and that's it. And the Nintendo guy said this.
Come on, stop the filibustering. Read Pixel Big G's chat.
Last thing. Nintendo said this, and they said the Switch is fine, which is a lie, but if you want access to this platform, you have to do the work. You have to do the extra work to optimize.
Get it? Yes, absolutely.
That's it.
Yes. So my filibuster is literally Pixelbit G's chat right there. That's why I left it up. Literally. And to me, that's smoke for Microsoft. Look, so the RAM issue remains the issue until someone actually uses sampler feedback to disprove it. Series S would shine as a PlayStation platform device because they are the platform leader. So you will, as a developer, use sampler feedback because they have the biggest
Yeah, you know who else would have used it if it was on PlayStation? PlayStation. Where's Xbox using that sampler feedback?
Well, but see, this is my point. None of them have used the tools that were made to offset that actual issue.
Could that possibly be because the tools don't work?
Not true. Because we have.
Why is nobody using it? Why wouldn't they use it? It's so easy to use.
Bro. Stop. We don't do that gotcha BS here. Okay, we're talking facts here.
But
please.
Why haven't they used it?
No, Everborn, I'm serious. Stop.
Why haven't they used it?
None of the next gen games have actually released yet. Every
It's like
single console game
a
you've played.
watching the parents fight and have a divorce.
But but it's like
in the middle.
Then all of a sudden he starts talking with Sony talking points. Like, calm down. Technologically,
you just said if it was on PlayStation, it would get utilized.
Yeah, you know why?
What's wrong with what Everborn is saying?
No,
I don't see
what's wrong with it is
what's
wrong with it. And let me explain what's wrong with it. And what's wrong is he's not letting me say what I'm saying. What's wrong with it is the smoke is Microsoft's, and I agree it's not on Larian because you made really cool tech to offset your glaring memory issue, right? But if you're not the market leader, there is no incentive for anyone to use this offset road, this HOV lane that makes it so performant and great. You are not the market leader. If Sony did it, they would obviously be using it because it's a big pool and everybody wants to develop for the big pool. You are the small pool. So you have to entice them to use your thing. And just like Everborn has been saying right now, if they have to then take separate dollars or resources away from the main pool, which is the PlayStation market, right? And then go do this cool, interesting stuff here that will then circumvent your memory issue. Yeah, it's great that that's an option, but maybe you should have either done other things to become the market leader. Like, just putting it out there and saying, well, it's there, sample feedback is available, so now we're good, that's not good enough, right? To Everborn's point, and that I agree with him on, where is evidence of it succeeding in the market? Even you, Microsoft, and I know context matters, and I'm gonna use the context here, but as a consumer, Everborn's right. None of that context matters. Where is it? It's been years. What the hell's going on? My only pushback is when you add the context in, they have never actually released an actual next-gen game for this console. You're gonna see that maybe with Forza. Yes, it's not Larian's fault. It's not. So again, that's why I say the smoke is on Microsoft. Yes, they created a circumventing way of making this work, but the only way that it will work is if you get people to use it, which you have not gotten people to use. There's no marketing for it. You've done nothing to make them want to use it.
Did they use it for Halo Infinite?
No,
that didn't have in the screen.
No, they've only used it, to my knowledge, they've only used some of those features, not all, some of those features for Flight Sim, because that's the only way that thing would have run on the Series X, right?
Well,
that's the only way they've been able to use it.
Fault. It's an Xbox L, and they need to be slapped around.
But this is my point. This is my point. Yeah. I appreciate the fact that the hardware is available and it's usable, but until you convince developers to use it, it is your L, Microsoft, right? It is.
Absolutely.
Right? And for the record, I am not saying that, get rid of the Series S or what. I think the Series S is awesome. I'm waiting for the day that they blow my wig back with footage that I know it can do. We've only seen it theoretically. I want to see it in retail. And until Microsoft gives that to me, I don't expect Larian to do that. I don't expect any third party to do that.
Let me ask everyone a question.
Please, yes.
Right. We know that, first of all, my position is that any promises these platform holders make are marketing until we see them tangibly in our hands, right? Yes. It's all marketing.
I think we're all in rigorous agreement right now. That's what I think. I think we're in aggressive agreement right now. Yes.
I see a $2 super chat from Pixel, and he asked me if my game uses sampler feedback.
There you go.
I mean, I'm making 2D games, so I don't think I need it, right?
Yeah, I don't think you have any resource issues in that department.
But that being said, I don't have any documentation pointing me out that has been advertised to me on how to use that. right?
Okay.
And so
this is my point.
Developers will use what they know or what will make their lives easier. And if they are not using it, it is because it is not making their lives easier.
It's not being marketed to them. They're not showing you that it's worth using. Yes.
And right, because if it's going to save them time, if it's going to give them a better product, obviously they will use it. Now, can you blame any developer who optimizes more on the PlayStation?
On the platform, on the lead platform.
Well, forget about the lead platform. Let's take that out of it. They don't want to crap on other people. It's their product. It's on their name.
Sure. Yeah.
Can we blame a developer who is optimizing for a platform that, one, only has a single SKU to worry about, and three, no number two. Yeah. If you know, you know. Gaz knows. Gaz knows.
Continue.
What's the number two?
It's a Caribbean thing. Splendiferous knows. I bet Splendiferous knows. But
what Splendiferous? Explain to us, bro.
Please explain. Yes.
So,
yes. And three.
So, three. PlayStation's dev environment is largely unchanged.
Yes.
From
Path of least resistance. 4. It is a PS4
this is
plus
what
plus.
Developers. Yes. This is what developers know.
Yep.
Right. The on the Xbox side, they made the right move. They moved over to the what is the name of the development kit now? It's like
GDK, the game developer kit.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
It was the XDK. They moved over to the GDK.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Developers have to go and learn that.
Yep.
Right. But they have a game to make now. They have a date to hit, and they may not have time to learn that unless you show them something that will melt their faces
and make
and
them.
They say, "How did you do that?"
Exactly.
And then you say, "I use that nice sample of feedback streaming."
See,
why
this is how he and I fight, because we're in rigorous agreement. This is it. This is it. And because of that, all the smoke is justified. So if you want to be a belligerent, hoping Forza will, hoping FIFA, hoping Fable will, people have heard me on this very show saying, like the showcase that passed, I wanted the Forza to be shown off with Series S footage. That's what I wanted. I wanted you guys to be so confident in how you finally showing off what this thing can do.
You said that on our show.
Yes.
You said that on
Blow my wig back and then go, oh, by the way, that's the floor for y'all. Yes. You know, and then by the way, that's the floor. You know, what you're gonna see after that is nothing but up from there, because this is Series S, right? If you did that, that would go a long way in changing this narrative that Larian, unfortunately, has no problems peddling, because they're right. Right? They are absolutely right here. They have no choice but to put it on Front Street, right? There are ways of circumventing this, but Microsoft hasn't showed that, right? So while Everborn and I will debate rigorously on this, we are in 100% agreement. I am waiting for Microsoft to break that narrative. And until they do, the smoke is justified.
Explanation is usually the right one. And the PlayStation is just easier to develop for because people know it.
And basically what he's saying right now is what the judge said, which is PlayStation's PS5 better. That's what the judge said, literally. That's what she said. No, right?
Again, you just have to make industry-defining stuff, and then developers will want to match or beat that, and they'll say how you do it. These are the tools to do it. So the only way to effectively advertise these tools to developers are to show them yourself.
It's to show them yourself. Exactly. 100%.
So I don't want any. I don't want to hear any Sony parody clause. I don't want to hear any. Developers prioritizing,
because you can show it to me on Gear 6. There's no parity clause there.
First party first, and that it is possible.
That's right. And show it to me on Motorsport. No parity clause there. You can be all wishy-washy with all the parity clauses. I hear you. All that is context that could matter. I get it. Your first party, you got no excuse. Yeah, the context of most of them were first party last week. You know, so when I say first party, get Bethesda out of the way. You know, we're talking about the first Bethesda game that I expect to see real, actual Xbox influence from is Skyrim, because that will be made within Xbox's purview. Everything you're seeing so far was made as a third-party game, a la but
with first-party help.
bro.
It's been a year
You've
for
spoken
first
to you've spoken to many distinguished, established developers. They all are unified in saying that the decision you make first is the most important. Where are you developing for? If you're not developing for the Series S and that's your first barometer,
No, absolutely,
nothing you do
absolutely.
to clean it up later will be as good as developing for it from jump.
If you're saying it's going to be an accurate reflection of them running on a series consoles, fine, I agree with you.
That's my point, right? All they can do now is clean it up. That's what they're doing with
and
Starfield.
optimize
That's
and-
what
yeah,
they're doing with Redfall. I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
want to be fair. I want to be fair about something,
Please,
right?
yeah.
We can talk all the smoke about what first party can and can't do.
Yeah.
Remember, there are still people right now crying about the fact that Fable was in-game stuff. They still think it's
Yeah.
So-
we're looking for the magic, and the magic looks like it's coming. It looks like the magic is definitely coming for sure.
so good that
For
people
sure.
still
don't believe it. Yes,
So-
yes, for sure.
But I will
You know.
say this: if Forza, I'm telling everyone, keep an eye on Forza and how it's running on Series X. If that game does not have in-game real-time ray tracing
yes,
on
yes.
track
It'll be a
on the Series X,
huge issue, huge
that'd be a
problem.
fat, massive.
Yes.
I want everyone in
Yes.
chat to admit this, because
Yes.
there's no way.
Yes.
If it's okay to have
Well,
quality
okay.
mode at 30,
And theoretically,
for a
theoretically,
motorsport game,
there's no reason why they can't do it, because like we're describing here, like as Pixelbit, the developer Pixelbit G has pointed out, you start your stuff with, you start your development process with sampler feedback, you have a lot more overhead because you're using far less RAM and you're using sampler feedback to scale it higher, even though you're not actually rendering it at that high clip. And in doing so, you have a lot more overhead to do ray tracing, right? Because ray tracing takes a big hit. But if you're using those other tools to offset that resource hit, then you have a lot more in the tank to then do ray tracing and still have it be performant. We shall see if it goes from theoretical to retail. Theoretical is sound. We've seen it. There's a lot of data to back that up, but we haven't seen it in retail. And not everybody's gonna oh yeah, I've read the white papers on that. No, we want to see the thing in retail. We want to see that game performing as good as it performed.
Says Forza Tech is Microsoft's lead development dev kit.
Yes.
It's the only engine that should have every trick. in the
Single
book.
book, yeah, because they lead it. That team, their engine leads the hardware. So they as has been described, they say we need this, we need that, we need this. They work with Jason Ronald, incorporates that into the technology of next gen. So they turn 10 determine a lot of the features that end up in that hardware.
There's a lot of what people don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Forza Tech influence in Asobo's Plague Tale Requiem.
In a Plague Tale, yep. They've been in the background working on a lot of tech, yeah. Go ahead.
Rob the Don says, guys, why are you throwing out negativity out of nowhere? No one was thinking about that. I think everyone should think about that, because with Forza, they showed the series gameplay running cube map ray tracing. It doesn't matter if it's early in development. Why are they showing that now? And all I know is when some of the chaps
what does that mean? Cube map ray tracing. What is that?
It's not ray trace reflections.
Yeah, it's screen space reflections. Yeah.
It's
not RT. It's fake. Yeah.
And it's still there. They uploaded poor quality version. I feel like that at this point, when Mans was asking for Series S gameplay, we got Series X and it was not running real time. And just a couple of chaps who were at the showcase event, they got pretty vague answers when they did meet some of the chaps at Turn 10 to ask them what's happening with that. I'm just saying, it's all early. They could surprise it, maybe coming, I just want to say, bro, if anyone's out gonna get L's, it's me, because I've been shitting on. Sorry, that's
good. It's good.
I've been crapping on Gran Turismo for time. I'm saying Forza's the king, I want this game to destroy Gran Turismo, and I want this to have in-track real-time ray tracing, 60 frames on the Series X.
And,
Series S,
Pixelbit
the L.
Pixelbit G agrees with you. He says, right, Asobo is using their tools and Gaz is not being negative. He's right. Absolutely. If you're going to go out there and say, we have all this, we're going to do all this, we're going to do all that, and the first time you show it, and you know darn well that the pixel peepers are out there, they're analyzing everything you put out there, and then you put cube map, screen space reflections, instead of an RT.
Yeah, they did show Redfall at 60 FPS. So.
Exactly. And then later on,
and then people think, look,
they're asking,
doom and gloom.
they're bringing themselves to the smoke, is what I'm saying. They are bringing themselves to the smoke. That is what they're doing right now with all that.
Did you know I didn't wave my giant? I was gonna say, okay. I didn't wave my around when this field was announced at 30 frames, and I said it. How much crap did I get for weeks on end saying this is gonna be 30? It's gonna be 30. It's gonna be 30. And I said, just manage your expectations there because the game is doing a lot. For me, people are gonna say I'm not. Oh, look, you heard my position on Forza, but with Starfield, I can forgive it because that game
because
is
of the scope and scale. Yeah, the scope and scale.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And that was and I'm not saying this I don't want it to be true, but when you just kind of piece things you're just erring in the side of caution. And I think we've all agreed unanimously that if Forza doesn't run 60 with ray tracing on track on the Series X, forget the S. The X
you know what? You know what, guys? Between the two of us, I tend to be the more even-keeled individual while we come to you for the sauce. I say if the Series S does not show me RT, even if it's quarter resolution, stop it.
Cut it out.
Even if it's quarter resolution, because you put in the technology to offset that memory bandwidth. You put in the RT. Stop. Let me tell you this. Hold on. Let me tell you this.
Okay, Fonzarelli.
I am playing with ray tracing on this. A processor that is not as powerful, well, about as powerful as the Series S. The what do you call it? A ROG Ally. You can turn on RT in Doom Eternal, and it's glorious, right? These things are basically
on the Xbox Series S too, can't you?
Exactly my point. So to say that
but not every engine is that.
Sure, but to say that the Series S gets to skirt that responsibility, they have the same level of technology. See, the Series X was them hedging, right? Because this S was all about the optimizations. The X has those same optimizations as the S does, but it also has the way more bandwidth. So even if you don't use all that hardware, what happens? It's able to brute force it more like a PC can, right? The X doesn't matter to me as much as the S does, because if their optimizations are really good and it really is there, and the technology they thought about really comes to fruition, you will see that most on the S before you will the X, because the X always has hardware to potentially brute force issues that the S cannot, right? That's the reason why the S is my barometer, because it has to succeed based on optimizations or it falls flat on its face. And you've seen it time and time again whenever anybody develops standard with the S. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I'm just so animated. I want to see them hit real heights with the S, because if the S can do it, then all there is cake on top.
All right. Well,
but that's the desire. That's the desire for the S.
Hey.
But in terms of outlook and mass expectation amongst the core gamers, I think it will be fine if the Series S doesn't run it at real-time ray tracing at 60. If they had a quality mode, which is basically redundant in a motorsport game, but if they had it there on the Series S, just to show you, look, even this tiny box that costs not very little for what it is, can do ray tracing at that mode, fine. But the Series X has to run ray tracing.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Michi
of course.
Chat, if you're saying what I'm saying, he says, don't assume everyone unanimously agreed. I want you to say in chat what you think. If you think ray tracing on Forza on track, 60 FPS on Series X is not needed, I don't know what to say to that.
See, to me, it's not even a question of is it needed or not, but it is the benchmark that they themselves have been throwing out there for years,
and how they advertise
about this game.
They market it like that.
Yes,
they market it like that.
Just like people are beating them over the heads with the whole power narrative, they have created the similar narrative here on this game. So if they don't do it, I'll say, it is what it is. And I see you, Reggie Lee. He's saying ray tracing is overrated on console. Sure, on PC, not so much, sir. Because right when people were complaining that for the last gen Forza Horizon was cube mapped, and we wanted ray tracing. Oh, it's an old engine. What did PC people do? Give it a week. They modded full ray tracing on court in Forza Motorsport. It is glorious when it works. It's not overrated. It's just you have to have the resources and the overhead to really make it matter.
All right. TLDR, you're not gonna get 4K 120 on the Series S. All right.
Sure, absolutely. Yes, and you get your last word. I'll read the super chats and then we'll move on. Go ahead.
Forza is gonna be what it is now. I don't need the ray tracing, but they showed it and they said real time.
This is my point.
Track.
There you go.
And okay, but they said that for the Series X.
No, they didn't. They said it for the Xbox. They didn't say it for. They didn't differentiate between X and S.
But they did. Yeah. They definitely didn't say the Series S. No, and no one expected that. Now the thing is this: I expect it to be there on the X, and if it is not, it will be like the lie they told about Redfall, and it will be
self-inflicted wounds again.
Right? Do I need it?
I don't need it. No, because if I needed it, I know where to get it. I have a PC. But you promised it. That's my point, right?
And
that's why I'm not. That's why I'm not like. That's why I'm not. I'm not screaming about Starfield being 30. I'm gonna try it on my PC. I'm sure I'll get it to run 60 on this.
I think that we said Starfield was gonna be 30 a year ago when it got delayed.
Absolutely.
Because Bethesda or whatever. So
my only point here
is I don't care about.
If you speak on it, then you must come to fruition. Yep. Like you said it. Right, and
we're not the ponies here.
There are so many explanations. There are so many examples of you saying it and then wishy-washy, saying it and then this is the latest one of that, right? And people get very in their feels and upset about it. Again, I'm the one that always comes here, and you guys can throw the virtual tomatoes at me. If you want 60 frames, there's a device for you. I will be that guy. But again, they said. Most powerful console. So if you feel butthurt about it in some way, I will not stand in front of you and say you're wrong, because they shouldn't be saying, they shouldn't be writing checks that their butt can't cash, and they keep doing that. And this may, and the operative word being may, be one of those. So I'm with you guys. This is the thing where you need to keep your eye on it.
See.
If you don't, we shall see.
We'll find out.
Yes. So let's catch up on some of these super chats, because there's been a few, and I really appreciate this, and then we'll move forward in the topic du jour, the one that we really want to talk about. But first and foremost, Scrub Nurse is in here. Scrub Nurse, it's been a minute. I hope you're doing well. Thank you, sir, for being here. $5 super chat. He says, shout out to the panel and Gaz. He's rolling on the floor. He said, I love what you guys have been doing. I'm happy seeing the growth and the accolades, and hit the like button. Thank you so much. We need to get you back on the show, bro. It's been too long. It's been far too long. Thank you so much for checking us out. It's always great to see you in here. Let's see, who else? I thought I saw a few others. Yes, I saw the man Dragonheart Yobi in here, still continuing to keep the boot on the neck in the chat. I'm sure him and Mr. John Wolf are still going back and forth. He says, Mario trumps Sonic every time. It is not a question, it's a fact, in all capital letters. They can make a Mario game being ass naked, published millions. And after that, hashtag peace, love, life. Dun, dun. Good job. I like that. Well done. He just murked them real quick. And of course, we did. Hey man, we shall see. We shall see. And then of course, Pixel asked if you had sampler feedback in your games. Thank you, sir. And let's see. I see Gax82 with a $5 super chat, and he says, "Why is it so easy to optimize for PlayStation, but Xbox is like go through this trap door, and it's a console that can't, or you can or cannot do it, or is it the developers?" I think we spoke a little bit to that, but it's more the idea that PlayStation found the righteous way after PS3, right? They had their debacle with PS3, and then they found the righteous way, and they've been sticking with it, right? PS4, they stuck with it. PS4 Pro, they added features onto the existing development base, but not changing the base, right? Because they had found one that works. And in PS5, supposedly they've done exactly the same. So it's literally, if you're a PS4 developer, it's like coming into the office, you know what you're doing, you're moving forward. Whereas on the Xbox side, they had big plans, right? Where they're talking cloud, they have these different SKUs and this and that. So they wanted to unify all of them, bringing in the new tools, which when it works, when it's fully vested and works, it seems like it will be a game changer. It will be amazing. But of course,
maybe a very long-term play that set things up.
How long did it take for
like.
Xbox, for PlayStation to really get this development environment they have now tuning, right? They lost in the PS3 era. They took most of the PS4, PS4 Pro, PS5. That's where they're honing it now. It took them some time to get there, right?
Yeah.
Xbox just changed this thing 3-4 years ago, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and all the while games are coming out, right? And all the while, when they change the development environment, it's not just change the development environment and that's it. They changed the development environment, and they also changed how their consoles handle certain resource usage, right? Whereas PlayStation, I always use the highway analogy. Whereas PlayStation's putting everyone down the highway, right? You have your 4-lane highway, everyone's going, right? Whether it's ray tracing, whatever it is that you're doing, they're all highway and they're sharing the resources. Mm-hmm. And they're using AMD Smart Shift where it gives you CPU, GPU. That's what they're doing there. On Xbox, they make separate HOV lanes for resources. Oh, you have ray tracing cores? Well, here's the ray trace lane, and only ray tracing goes there. Oh, you could use ray tracing for audio, and that's a separate lane from the main resource highway they use, which, when it works, is awesome. But you gotta
When has it worked?
When
but
is
you
it?
gotta
I
use
just
it.
want to ask that. When does it work?
Flight Sim is the only one we can see. And on that potato, it's still very performant. I just wish it was more. It was also on other retail machines. I wish it was also.
I believe we're gonna see it.
Yeah.
I believe we're gonna see it with Fable.
Yeah, me too. And if we don't, the smoke will be righteous and it'll be all over the place. It just will be all over the place, right? 100%. And then we have, let's see, Roshan Eppinger, I hope I said that right, Roshan Eppinger, with a $2 super chat. He says, Bethesda needs to rebuild their engine for Xbox now. I wholeheartedly agree with you, sir. Yes, that creation engine, they've been tweaking it, tweaking it.
Maybe
I
in
want
time
them
for Fallout 6.
Yup. Maybe in time. How many engines are they sitting on that when was the last time we saw the id Tech engine besides Doom? Like, it shouldn't be a single engine game, I think. I think that thing has way more.
You know what's going to be the irony to all this, and I do think we should move on.
Yeah, I'm just finishing the super chat.
By the time all the developers learn how to use
they're moving on to the next gen.
They're going to be on DX13.
Yeah, they're moving on to the next gen. Absolutely. Behind the 8 ball as usual. And not to be outdone, my other slanderous co-host with a $2 super chat, John Wolf in here. He's saying only missionary gamers worry about the tools. #PCMR. Stop it, sir. That is not how you garner likes and clicks. Don't do that. That's not cool.
What's a missionary gamer?
One single platform.
Single platform.
Oh, one position. I get it.
You
There's nothing wrong with missionary.
That is John Wolf. And I told him, I need him a visual. I need him to show visuals.
I want to be clear. Missionary can be fantastic.
Absolutely.
You know what you're doing.
But sometimes you gotta hit it from the back.
Okay, moving on. JD Gamer with a $5
on the
super
shoulder.
Chat. Oh no. He said, hey panel, Gaz, K Asante, I think you're right about developing for the Series S. First, then upgrading to the Series X next. Get the sauce, fellas. Hold the line. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. We're trying real hard to let the innuendos just slip on by. Let's let them slip on by. But okay, let us move forward and talk about what we are here to talk about proper. Y'all know it. We put it on I had my Phoenix right fingers pointing. We here to talk about ABK. Oh, by the way, before we get out of here and talk ABK proper, because I think ABK will be the show that will be the rest of the show.
We're here to talk about ABK, but before we talk about ABK,
Sonic is at 41%. Mario is at 60%.
42%.
Mario's now at 58%, and Mario and Sonic is at 42%. Still losing, and I'm closing the chat now.
So what are we doing? Stop the count? That's what we're doing?
Because we're moving on to the very last part of the
Wow. Why not leave it on until the end of the show? What are we doing?
Because then I'll forget to make no mention of it, and it'll just be running indefinitely. let us move forward, ladies and gentlemen.
Sonic could even win on their own show.
You know what I'm saying? Not even on the Sonic Stand's own
Yes,
show.
when
will
the
Sonic work.
when the vote was rigged.
Oh, here he goes. We gave him
about
2 hours.
I'm about to me and
FTC
John
chat,
Wolf
let's
are gonna
go.
storm Kay Asante's
There we
front
go.
lawn.
Yeah, y'all can storm my front lawn. All right. So FCC chat. Let's go there. The FTC chat. Right. As we heard today, the last couple of days have been the
Of all the articles you pull out there, you are a bigger warrior than me. You are a bigger expert.
I have 3 of them. I have 3 of them. This is the first one that happened to come out. But yes,
I love you, bro.
Look, I know. I got the sauce master on here, so I gotta bring the sauce. What? This is what I'm here for.
I
need Gaz to go first because
of course
I gotta cook. I'm getting the frying pan ready.
So
I want to hear you cook. I want to hear you cook first.
For those that aren't aware, the sauce master is also a litigator. So his word here, while not an M&A, while not M&A, he is a lawyer. So he has been trained in wordsmithing, right? I call it verbal ninjaism.
I'm not a litigator, so litigation is where there's adversarial stuff. I'm in commercial property, so it's the opposite. It's trying to get both parties to get into the deal that they entered into.
To get people
both
work
parties
together.
want to get deals done. It's acquisition, sales, disposition, blah blah blah. But I've done some litigation, and I have dealt with cases that are quite complex. Obviously, nothing on this grander scale, not billions, millions, yes, not billions. And it's interesting to see as a lawyer, just observing the gaming community being so energized, and then discussing legalese and discussing different aspects of this massive watershed moment of a case. Watching people who don't know what they're talking about boldly talk about it.
We're all learning it in real time. Like the plane is literally flying and people are becoming captains while it's in the air. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So, sir,
it's an incredible moment.
I haven't actually had a chance to really deep dive with you about all the moving and shaking. In the DMs, we've been, passing around links as the shows have been going on and stuff. I'm sure you've been paying attention to as much of this as you can. You heard the closing arguments on both sides. It's all out there now. It's all for Judge Corley to decide. What is your thought, sir?
Okay, well, first of all, massive disclaimer. I have not been following it like you two. You'll be seeing the DMs. I'm like, as I'm working, what's happening? I'm getting updates from you guys.
We've been keeping you up to date. Okay.
Yeah, you've been keeping me up to date on it. So, but generally, when I have tuned in and listened to the FTC, I think, apart from some of the stables, the general consensus has been quite clearly that Microsoft's legal team were better equipped as lawyers in putting forward their case. And I think some of the really ridiculous things that FTC were saying, I couldn't believe it until multiple people sent the live transcripts of what they were saying. I'll find one here, which it is so ridiculous. To this day, I still can't believe it. It's one where basically the lawyer asked Phil Spencer, is like, what does he say? He said, are you acquiring it to make a profit? I'm like, yeah. Well, do you know that's illegal? It was like, I don't know what you say. Oh, enough said. I'll find the tweet. I've got it in my source video. It's a repository of receipts of what the FTC were saying. Generally, I will say this on the console. So the two arguments here: the console market and the competition within that, and then there's the cloud market, and that's where the latter argument is where all this can really just fail. My general takeaway from this is the FTC really failed convincingly to make that argument on console. You've heard the judge even rebuke quite openly about some, and even go counter said, like Sony does with ABK stuff. And the FTC lawyers were saying that Microsoft could use their position as far as Call of Duty was concerned to then offer incentives, beyond what they would offer, unable to be offered on PlayStation. And judge immediately rebukes that, says, like PlayStation does. And those kind of arguments on the console ground, I think they were always inevitably.
It kind of speaks to the lawyer. It kind of speaks to the judge having a very interesting understanding of what she's talking about, right? It's surprising when she kind of chimes in with those things.
It's not surprising to me because that was the job of the council for Microsoft to relay and impart into the judge's head so strongly because yeah, exactly, because Sony is so lopsided. Sony's conduct in this space as the market leader, and we're talking about an entity and a product, Call of Duty, which even as recently as today, you've got it on screen right now. You cannot, how can you miss that this incentive is staring us in the face of a current deal that is progressing right now with Sony, that they have this deal and their conduct has been essentially, in my opinion, foreclosing as far as timed exclusivity is concerned. I find it was Microsoft's legal team's job to impart that, and that's what they did really well.
You think they did it successfully, huh?
I think they very successfully did that. I think I'll be shocked, especially the way everything the judge is saying. There's no way, there's no doubt in my mind that the judge is not persuaded by Microsoft and their argument on the console element.
Did you read the quote where the judge had to remind FTC lawyers that they're not concerned, that she's not concerned with protecting Sony? She's concerned
yes, I saw the quotes in there. Like, we're not here to protect Sony's interests. That's what
you mean. My biggest reaching tweet of the past like 6 months or so, where every 5 minutes I've had to like mute that conversation because people are just taking that comment, and I'm like thousands of retweets in just because of that statement.
I think the and I want to get to the cloud discussion, but like it is not a coincidence that everyone around the world has thrown out console, right? Yeah. Even the little stupid letter candidate, right? The CMA who hates the deal, they want it dead. They couldn't even argue console, and it was weird because the FTC has spent most of their case arguing on that, and console, to the point that the FTC themselves, their expert, right, Dr. Lee, did not do any quantitative analysis on the negative effects of cloud. And the judge specifically asked him, and he could not and would not get an answer. And so it got to the point where Microsoft's lawyer, Beth Wilkinson's, got frustrated about this. Where did these numbers come from? What research did you do? And he would not answer the question. And then the judge got in and got frustrated to ask him.
So okay, I appreciate it when you thread the needle, especially for the chat. And Lucius Augustus in here with a $2 super chat saying, we still don't know where that 20% came from with the law. So thank you very much, Lucius. Absolutely. Continue. You're cooking.
20% is hiding with the votes that a certain presidential candidate is looking for.
Yeah, 20% still won't help you. But no, it is true that, and you know, it's still, and you put this out there, Everborn. You did say, like, first of all, the judge did a great job. The judge really did listen.
Even if she rules against Microsoft, I'm just going to accept it because I feel like she did the
best that she could. Yeah, she did really well with that information.
It would be some legal loophole for her, in my opinion, to rule against them. Meaning like she's bound by the law. Because I do feel like Microsoft made the better case, but I will accept what she had, and I'm not going to be like, oh, she's wrong or she's whatever. I just think she was fantastic at this. But sorry,
I think again. The US is a different jurisdiction. Again, it's litigation. I don't know what the standard required is to grant an injunction like that. Remember, it's just it's an injunction, but we know now. We know now, unless Bobby Kotick is lying, which I don't think he is at all.
No. Yeah.
If the injunction is granted, the deal is dead.
It's done.
That's not this judge's problem, though, right?
No,
her only mission here is to say, is there grounds here for a preliminary injunction? So even though in effect it would block the deal, that is not legal.
But also you want to add a bit more meat into that bone. Yes, her grounds here is there grounds for preliminary injunction, but on that side is that preliminary injunction will be granted if they're able to convince her that the questions they pose are enough to warrant further scrutiny, and that allowing this to continue without the warrant. Well, but hold on. Allowing it to continue without that, allowing the case to close now, and then they have to then double back and potentially talk about it. the FTC is making the case, and please keep me honest here, that if they are allowed to just close the case and then we'll talk to them later and potentially if we need to undo it, we will, Microsoft will be like Facebook and rush to integrate so that they can't undo it. That's the fear, right? That's exactly what happened with Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram. That literally drives the FTC nuts to this very day.
That is wrong because they tried to come back 5 and 10 years later.
Which was way too late. Which was way too late. Why do you wait for 5 years and then go, oh, you guys are integrated? Yeah, you waited 5 years.
No. Yeah. I think it just makes no commercial sense. It's irresponsibly inconvenient. So much changes in the 5 years, and it gives no certainty. And I know you're like, Gaz, you're backing up corporate entities, but if this is me, just generally, if we put ourselves in the position of God willing, one day we have these mega successful corporations. Remember, we're still human elements there. One day you're there. Just think about it in terms of equity and fairness. Like you come back, there's no certainty in the commercial sphere anyway. Even think about it like the FTC's judge's hat and thinking about commercial well-being and conduct in this space. Forget the international element and all of the politics involved. It makes no sense. I have no issues with Microsoft, even Facebook with that lizard person running it. Like, that makes no sense. I fully back them for shutting the deal down. And also in this case, this was quite a comprehensive case. Like, Microsoft did, what's the value in going in and reviewing this after, say the FTC injunction is denied, Microsoft tries to close it. What's the value in going in on the cloud argument when really, let's be real, and why it feels so, say the word, unfair on Microsoft, even as Microsoft, it's because it's so speculative. It's so much of that argument is based on assumptions. And that's why it just feels unfair.
I feel like wait a minute. It offends a sense of justice, a sense of human decency, because it seems like the needs of the few are being outweighed for the needs of the many. Right? That's what's happening.
Human
well, no, but that's, humans, no. When I say what I mean by it offends human decency is if after you hear everything you've heard, right, they deny it and they don't give you that piece of key information that finally clues you into understanding why. Because right now, still, people who like the cloud, which is not many, people who hate the cloud, still nobody can thread the needle of cloud is important enough to stop this deal. Right? All they say is that it's a nascent market. It could potentially be the future, but as of today, it's a pebble under the shoe comparatively to the actual gaming market. So I feel like the reason why people get animated by this, and I'll let you make your point, everyone, I promise. I feel the reason why people get animated about this because they feel like, hey, the needs of the many, which is us here now, you're going to stop us from getting what we need now for the needs of the 1,000 or 10,000 people that play on cloud today. That it offends.
Maybe in the future. Exactly.
Right? That's my point. It offends.
You're killing decency. A market before it has had a chance to thrive.
That's right. Everyone, you were saying.
That's where it doesn't make sense.
That's right.
So right. We a few minutes back we talked about what the legal standard is here, and. So in the gamer lawsuit, because that was a personal lawsuit, there needs to be an immediate harm, right? That's not the case here. The FTC has to say that there will be a future harm, right? If the deal is consummated, so they want it enjoined or
but that's not even specifically Judge Corley's remit, though, right?
No. Well, so I'm coming to that, right?
Okay.
So what they will have to prove here, what the standard is not, we have to create significant doubt, which I don't think that they did, right? The standard is first, you need to get your market definition right. That is job number one. Did you get your market definition right? Now, what is the likelihood? Meaning, is it more likely than not that the FTC will win if they see this on the merits? Not that they will win by delaying, but that they have a strong enough case.
They have a strong enough case.
Strong enough evidence that they will win on the merits. And then that's hurdle 2. They have to get past hurdle 3, which is, as you see in the chat, balance of the equities. So is what you're asking for to pause this thing, is that unduly burdensome on the parties? Because are you telling the truth basically when you say this will them closing the deal will cause irreparable harm.
Irreparable harm. Exactly. Yep.
So
Yep.
meaning you won't be able to unwind it in the time that it takes for you to go and
talk it through. Exactly.
Now,
even though Microsoft themselves have said, look at our past history. Look at LinkedIn. Look at ZeniMax. All these examples of we bought the company, we kept them limitedly integrated. So if there's a question of, hey, later down the line, guys want to talk to us and you think you have a case and you win, separating them becomes relatively easy because we don't integrate them fully. But still, that's not good enough.
So now let me add another layer to this. Gaz, I don't know if you know this, but this can be looked up. In the Northern District of California, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and the District Court, the Northern District Court, has never in its entire history granted a preliminary injunction on a vertical merger. The FTC does not argue that this is a horizontal merger. They're trying to apply horizontal rules, but they acknowledge it as a vertical merger. So this would be the first time in history a vertical merger was enjoined or granted a preliminary injunction in that district. So that's I think problem one.
That's notable. Yeah.
Okay.
Problem two is that by all accounts, Judge Corley has said, and they've said this in the chat, and I've been saying this for a few days, if you look at Judge Corley's closing questions, she seems to be more focused on the consumer, the actual consumer harm. This is why she pressed back about we're not protecting Sony. This is why she said the harm will not take place between now and 2024 since there is a contract in place. It is also, she didn't say this is me saying it. It is hilarious that the FTC acknowledges that Microsoft will abide by the contract that they have in place with Sony till 2025. But somehow these
other contracts don't matter.
Right. These other contracts are wind, right? And they tried to say, we can't even look at these contracts. And the judge said, that is not the standard, because if I look at this AT&T case, we had to take this into account. And didn't you win because you have that? But let's throw all of that out.
Okay.
Right? When we talk about a balance of the equities, I'm gonna turn my mic up a little bit so people can understand.
Boy, here we go. Let's go.
Now, when the judge asked the economist, and when she asked the FTC, what will be the harm that will take place in the cloud market as you've defined it if this deal is to close? And the problem with that is the FTC's answer was, we don't know.
Yeah.
Right? You actually have not defined the harm, and your expert has not done the quantitative analysis. So even if they pass the market definition hurdle, which maybe they will, maybe they won't, how can they pass the merits test if their answer to the harm is, I don't know? And how can you pass the equities test, meaning let the deal effectively be killed off of quantitative analysis that you admit that you have not done? So the FTC lawyer says, we don't know. The expert that they're relying on did not do this. He only did it for the console market, which is a stone cold loser argument.
Which is hilarious, so again, right? Again, they spent all the time doing their homework on cloud, which was then thrown away.
And I loved it.
Right? And then the last minute, they just rubbed out the homework information and went cloud and went same argument. That's literally what they did.
But it gets better.
That's what I'm saying. If this deal flops, I will be honest, that's gonna be a one where like, wait, hold on, FTC didn't make a good argument. They got pretty much murked, and the injunction still got granted. It's going to be a bit of pill, not just because we want the deal to go through, but it's going to be a pill to swallow on the substance and merits of the case and the manner in which
real quick. And I have super chats that I have to get to, but I will get to them as well. We are not a echo chamber. We can have the conversation. We can agree, we can disagree. And to that point, we have folks in the chat. Let's see. I'll put him on the screen here. Let's see. Capono 5150, thank you so much for being here. He says, The panel doesn't realize that Sony losing so much money will trickle down to hurt consumers. Now, I don't want to, you know, let's not use that as a rip. No, it is a narrative that is out there that Sony's consumers inherently are consumers, and as such, you hurt Sony, you hurt consumers. That is a narrative that has been prevalent, spoken of pretty frequently. You know, let's address that a little bit.
Can we qualify this? Yeah. How does Sony lose money?
Yeah, because let's we don't have all details because as Everborn has correctly pointed out, they haven't done an extrapolation, they haven't done any market research to really show the harm that way, right? But what we can do is we can see the environment, right? We can see the market. We can also see the fact. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that.
Sorry. I just like Valentine.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm sorry.
What we can do is take the information that they have given us, and even by the FTC's own determination, the most amount of market share turn that it potentially could do is 5%. So if I understand this correctly,
it is 5.5%.
Oh, 5.5. I'm sorry. So again, Everborn, please, correct me if I'm wrong. Even if this is a scenario, right? And by the way, this is me also asking the question because I think this is crazy. This is the scenario. They have said, and these are the two, and I will ask you folks to really help me understand this. They have said, one, that the FTC, convinced them that the Nintendo Switch was not 9th gen, which is insane to me. How can you make that thing without determining what the gens mean? It's what came before. Nuts. And secondly, the other part that drove me nuts about all of this is that part of the equation where it's like, if Sony loses, the whole market loses, when clearly even the FTC's own determining research says, if that were to happen and they were to go full exclusive, COD is no longer on Xbox, on PlayStation. It is now full exclusive. You want it? Come to Xbox. Do you know how many people would switch over? 5.5%.
I think we need to add, because there's more context there that makes this even worse.
Please.
So his analysis was based on total foreclosure. Mm-hmm. That would mean pulling games off of the PlayStation Store, which is completely not realistic.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
But
if it was completely exclusive,
No, not just completely exclusive, literally pulling games off the store.
So you mean even back content gets pulled off of the store and put on the so even in more of a hypothetical ridiculousness. I get it. Okay.
It gets better, and this is what all this hinges on, right? This is based on a model that Dr. Lee put together.
Yep.
And in the model, it requires an input, and that input is what percentage of the available Call of Duty players not on PlayStation would switch to Xbox if they were if Microsoft exercised a full foreclosure strategy. You know what the problem with that is? This Deontay Wilder day,
they did not use telemetry data to do that.
Right. They have not pointed to anything that shows where the 20% number comes from, except a YouGov survey that they did not read. And that survey his 20% does not delineate between the people who buy COD and play it for 5 hours or the hardcore players who play it for 500 hours.
Forever. Yes, that's right.
One would argue, and this is what Microsoft's expert said, one would argue that it is not fair to say that we can count someone as switching if there's someone who buys COD and never really plays it.
Yep.
Right? Yep. So if you bought a game, you don't play it.
And how many of us have bought games that we tried a little bit and then we move on? That happens all the time.
Right? So you don't play it, you're going to change your platform because again you no longer have access to a game you don't play. And the judge picked up on that. And she asked the FTC, you're not going to sit here and tell me that you didn't even check if these were hardcore players. So they made up that 20% number. And by the way, the 20% again suggests that if 20% of the people that play COD outside of Xbox switch to Xbox, that Microsoft would see a 5.5% market share gain.
So
this is what we're arguing about. And one
don't
thing,
be high. No, but hold on, Everborn. You're being a little highbrow about that. Even if they pulled everything from all the PlayStation market and plopped it on Xbox and said, from now on, all your Xbox, all your Activision Blizzard, your COD needs can only be fulfilled by Xbox. They will only see 5.5% of the existing market shift to Xbox, which means nothing would change on the ground. Absolutely nothing.
It gets better because if you enter 15%, you just make up, let's say 15% went.
Sure.
Microsoft loses money.
There you go.
Right? So 20% they gain money. So 15% they have an incentive. 15% they lose money. Right?
So how'd you get your 20%? That's why that 20% is so important. You know, yeah, absolutely.
Where did your 20% came from? Your Honor, we made it up.
That's right. That's
right. So that is why none of this, and even in all of that, there are no numbers, literally, and the FTC and the expert, Dr. Lee, both of them acknowledge that they did not do any quantitative, meaning numbers. You do some kind of equation and you make an estimate. They didn't do any of this for partial foreclosure. So every time the FTC argues it would be immediate harm because you wouldn't get a skin.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the numbers they're talking about. Yeah,
right?
The numbers they're talking about actually don't mean the skin. They mean everything.
But they haven't done that analysis. Yeah. And the fact that they also have not done it for cloud. So when people say if it gets blocked, it's blocked on cloud, or they made some convincing arguments, even if you define a market, which I don't know that they've done successfully, but maybe we can say that's a market because the judge said, well, things are going to go to the cloud. Have they proven harm to the customer will take place in time for them to do their trial?
That's the point.
And they have no numbers to
no numbers to prove it.
So their
no numbers to prove it.
Trust me, bro.
Exactly.
J-Rock in the chat says that's what the judge was saying. That she also added the fact that if you're taking, the figures don't take into account the fact that individuals also own other devices that COD is already on.
That's already on. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the thing with that is she went a little bit further because she even actually said they could just get it on a Switch, right? Which means she does not believe the high performance console market. She says that they are exchangeable. And she said the same thing, can't they just buy it on a PC?
Oh, you mean she asked the most pertinent question that anybody has ever asked a gamer in 2023? Why the hell are you playing on anything other than that in 2023?
No,
that's the question she asked.
Suddenly, a million PlayStation fanboys' PC magic bills disappeared.
Just went
into the ether.
And it feels like she was in these spaces because she was like, all you ponies said you got PC. You'll just play on PC. So don't tell me they don't have the PC. But the thing
is, Bobby Kotick actually didn't seem to be briefed all that well. He's seen one thing. This guy definitely wants his golden parachute. He's definitely pissing off after this. That was made clear. He made it clear that Microsoft didn't even consult them. I love you, Microsoft. For when they made their contract with Nintendo for COD, they didn't even consult him.
Right?
That was fucking,
right?
Do you know how crazy
there are some
that is?
ridiculous. There are some things that Microsoft didn't do that was a bit of a head scratcher, Everborn. Maybe you can speak to that as well. I don't know if and it may not matter, but it did become a bit of a head scratcher. Like they didn't do any qualitative analysis on the pro consumer move here, right? They were running around like with the 120 million with the billboards and stuff, but there's no qualitative analysis that you've had your analysis done, and they're here talking about it, showing it off. They ask you, okay, so this will be a pro consumer move. We know it is. It's logical. Obviously, you're letting more people play the thing that they couldn't play before. but why didn't you do a qualitative analysis
Well,
to kind
wait a
of
minute.
like
Well,
really
wait a
put it
minute.
in the
Wait a
bag
minute.
there? I don't
Wait a
understand why they
minute.
wouldn't do that. Go ahead, everyone.
I want to answer that question.
Yeah. Because that
this was
seemed to
this
have
was a real-
seemed to have given the FTC a bit of a legs, and I'm like, yeah, that's a bit of a head scratch.
So this is the thing.
Yeah.
And the judge asked,
Yeah.
you're talking about putting it on the Switch.
Mhm.
Where's the quantitative analysis to say
Yeah.
how you will make more money from the Switch?
Mhm.
And what Microsoft pointed out was, we don't do that today.
Yeah, I
Minecraft.
know,
Wait a
I
minute. Let me
know.
answer. Let me answer the question.
Sure.
Let me answer the question.
No,
So-
I heard their answer. I just think it wasn't good enough.
But let me say it for the chat. We just said you don't.
Sure.
So they said Minecraft is on 20 platforms today.
Yep.
We don't sign a 10-year contract with all 20 of those platforms that it's on, and we don't do a quantitative analysis. Why? Because there's such a thing as a PLA, which is a publisher licensing agreement,
which you sign,
governs
carte
all
blanche.
of these things.
Yes.
And we say having access to 140 million more devices versus the 20 million Series X's that are out there and the 40 or 50 million Xbox Ones that are out there will be better for us.
And that is absolutely true and absolutely righteous. But, and I agree with you 100%, but come on now. You're sitting here trying to say if Sony does not sign this deal, maybe there's a world that Sony won't get it. Who knows?
No.
Let me make my point. Let me make my point. I'm not saying they're saying that. I'm just saying in general, they are trying to offset the idea that people are losing. Oh, we're losing this by saying, look, we're presenting it to so much more people. Clearly, people that didn't have it today will have it tomorrow based on this deal that we're making. So that is pro-consumer, right? True, 100% true. They don't go through all the song and dance more often than not because they have that licensing agreement that governs all. But they have made enough concessions to help this process along because they recognize that it would help them, right? That's the reason why they've done a lot of the qualitative analysis that they've done, right? They've done a lot of that because they know this is a hot button and they're trying to push this thing through. So although I agree 100% that this is unnecessary, a lot of the stuff they've done is unnecessary because that license agreement stands. But they knew that doing what they did here would help convince regulators and help convince them to let this through. So that qualitative analysis would have been a help.
So here's the problem with that, right?
Sure.
So there's two things. One, there is, even if Sony doesn't sign that contract, they literally cannot stop Microsoft from putting COD on.
Of course.
So COD will be there. So what they're saying is
them saying it in oaths like that, it's done.
The issue is, and they pointed these out, this contract is not required.
Yeah.
We don't need it. Valve told you they don't need it.
Absolutely
and
not.
We only did it. We only did it as
to appease regulators. Yes.
Let the regulators who had a concern
to appease them. Yes.
But
this is
we
basically
would not
a sign of intent, really.
Right.
Yes.
Kind of show that going above and beyond.
So that's why it exists. And if they did do that analysis, which wouldn't really, because common sense will tell you 140 million more people, you'll make that money. And what the Switch offers in terms of being portable and doing all those things, if you have a Switch, you're not going to leave the Switch and go to an Xbox.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the Switch is so sort of differentiated and has its own
absolutely,
thing.
Absolutely.
Now, again, if they did do that quantitative analysis, then they would have a number, right? A number by which we would say, well, we have to get 25% of Switch owners to go over. And then the FTC would come and say, see, you did this analysis to say 25%, even though it's
have to go over.
Number.
Yeah.
Right.
So they didn't do it, and that's a noose. But had they done it, it would have been another noose. I get it.
Exactly. Okay. I don't think it's a noose that they didn't do it. I think it's common sense that they didn't do it. And they wouldn't do it absent this deal. Like I do not believe Microsoft would have done if they were going to put it on the Switch,
none of this stuff was going to be done. They were just going to go par for the course as they did. A lot of this research was done just to appease the regulators. 100%. I agree with that. Yes.
So I think that the FTC, the only thing FTC might win is the market definition, but on cloud, they're stone cold loser on console. And subscription services, they tried to couple it with with cloud, which
With
the
cloud,
judge
yeah, it didn't
did
work.
not buy at all
didn't
because it
work,
didn't
yeah.
even make sense. It was just like a word salad.
Yeah.
But even when people say, okay, the judge has questions about the cloud market,
Mm-hmm.
defining the market is only step one.
One of it.
I
Yeah,
do
then you
not
have to-
feel in any way that they have proved their case for
Mhm.
what they need to prove to grant the injunction. And
Okay.
again, on top of having no hard evidence of harm on day one, right? The Judge Corley would have to block the deal, which would be the first time in the District 9.
I mean, that's
Ninth
important,
Circuit.
but
Good
this is
movie,
an
by the way.
unprecedented level kind of deal. Like,
True.
even
Yeah.
I will say the unprecedented nature of it is what we are basically relying on
Mhm,
when
mhm.
we are saying that the CMA will
Yeah, exactly.
actually pass the bill.
Exactly. Good point. So that is a righteous pushback there, Gaz. While it is true that because it is unprecedented, hey, it's unlikely
Vertical
because
versus
it-
horizontal,
for
yeah.
the first time. That exact case was made in the CMA instance, and for the first time, it's seemingly happening that the CMA is getting their hand slapped, even though everyone was convinced it could never happen that the CMA, if they made a decision, it's gold, right? We are seeing unprecedented times. So that's where I go, we shall
to add a
see.
little
I
bit
want to hear,
context
I want
to
to
that.
hear Gaz talk
Yeah,
about
Gaz,
the
Gaz,
CMA
please,
piece
please,
of it,
Gaz,
because
yeah, speak on it.
you'd
Yeah,
be
just to
more
add a little
versed.
bit of context.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
that,
please.
The unprecedented nature that I'm alluding to is the nature of dealings with the CMA. I don't think you're going to convince the CMA. They're very bullish and very hard-headed on their position on
When
cloud.
they believe it, they're right. Yes.
That's the attitude they're having.
Yeah.
Now, I would have thought that because this deal is unprecedented in terms of its scope, in terms of its value, in terms of, in my opinion, just whilst I understand where the CMA is coming from, I still think the cloud argument is too weak because it's so speculative to stop a deal, to stop a market from thriving before it's really even born, when no market actors in this space, really, other than Google that walked away anyway, is Microsoft that can push it through. You're basically inviting the market to die before it even gets a pushback.
You're
Microsoft
adhering to the needs of the few while screwing the needs of the many later. Like it's
No. There is no
few.
few.
Speculative
Yeah,
few.
there's a speculative few today. Exactly. Yes.
There's not even a real few. So it's like a very weak argument. I get it. I get the basis on it. But when Microsoft, the thing that I didn't respect was when the EC made its decision and passed the deal, instantly the CMA came back massively defensive over it. And
well,
you
know more than most that the EC and the CMA, both of them are very much there's no love lost there, so they're ready to snipe each other whenever possible. So.
I feel this conspiracy hats on.
Oh, here we go.
I feel like it was a political move by the EU.
They threw him in front of the bus.
And I'm going to tell you why.
That might not be that tinfoil hat than you think. There is a massive power thing here. EC has, post-Brexit, a lot of animosity. You want to invite business. You want to send a signal. And EC, being more, in my opinion, competent, managed to fashion a resolution. Microsoft loosened up. They got a deal, but they got a condition. Microsoft offer it everywhere. That is a big concession. CMA didn't do that. CMA wasn't even interested in listening to it after the EC had commissioned. If I had any confidence in the CMA being, in my opinion, reasonable, they would have said, though, even if they objected, they said, that's a good, or we understand the concession, we acknowledge it, and that's admirable. We'll consider it.
They would have tried to work with them. Yeah, they didn't even try.
Or they would have pushed back and said, "Try this.
Try something else."
Yes.
Try
and there is
something else.
no try this. There is no alternative in this market that is barely born, and I just find that really reprehensible is not the word, but I just don't find. So when the unprecedented nature of it, I'm like, when the whole world has passed it essentially, when the FTC, if the FTC's injunction flops, this deal is going through. The CMA, if they're being, in my opinion, even remotely fair, they would have to entertain, in my opinion, even if it's just for the sake of posterity, a conversation directly with Microsoft and have that conversation.
There needs to be at least the appearance of fairness when it comes to that, and it looks so far that it's not that way.
And I don't think I think CMA are very, very rigid in their approach, and I think it's going to make them look terrible.
Absolutely.
But with CAT, I think the grounds, very limited grounds they can do that. It's the technical analysis of it. If they're fundamentally flawed in the CMA, that is fundamentally flawed in their assessment of it, the CAT can then turn it round or reject the CMA's proposal. And I think,
I mean,
like there
haven't we even us laymen's have found a loophole in the CMA's argument on cloud, right? They literally just put the entire Game Pass number as cloud, which was ridiculous. Have no insight into how they've qualified that number. They kept it all the same. They didn't carve it out, right? They didn't carve out cloud specific.
We need to see that.
We need the cloud specific.
We can't have good faith in that. Asa and I disagree with that. Asa's like, well, I assume they've done their research. I understand that.
That's an assumption that may be wrong. Yeah, that may be a bad assumption.
And that's where I think that's where it fails. If it goes to the CAT, if for a reason we don't get this unprecedented sit down, outside the process chat, basically ADRs, alternative dispute resolution, amongst the CMA and Microsoft. They sit down and they fashion something. That doesn't happen. This goes to the CAT. That angle there, that seems quite restrictive. It is restrictive, but that fundamental error, and that's what it is. And
that's what it is, an error
in analysis.
Right. Yes.
That is where I think
this is the second error. This is the second error in the CMA's analysis, right? They made one error before, which Microsoft then corrected, and they publicly announced it. And now there's this error, right? So
you mean the one that we announced this week about what was it?
Well, the first error is what led them to get rid of the console SLC altogether, because they were
comparing
1 year to 5, right? And now this would be the second error, which is counting all of Game Pass numbers as all included in cloud numbers, which is very, very suspect number.
So remind me on because Microsoft's they did publish their counters for this appeal, right? Their basis for what they're appealing.
Yeah.
Was that one of the prominent ones? Because I haven't found it.
It was. So I can answer this. I can answer this because I watched the hearing live and I saw when the CMA lawyer let slip the actual number in question.
Oh yeah, remember? And he was like, "My bad. I'm sorry."
He even acknowledged to say if we got the number wrong, and he said if the issue is the 36%, right, which says that 36% of Game Pass subscribers are Ultimate, right? And that's the number he wasn't supposed to let slip.
But even in that instance, if 36% are Ultimate, how many percent that are Ultimate have ever touched the cloud?
Well, no. Well, the
because they have capability to access the cloud, but have they actually done so?
All right, let's go to the supers because I think we're missing some things and we're moving on past.
Absolutely. I've been waiting for a moment to get back to super chats because we do have a bunch of them. So let's do that, and then after my super chats, what I want to do is beyond. Yes, we're talking as FTC.
I don't
CMA
want to
and
move
all
on
that.
from CMA yet.
I'm not moving on. Let me finish. I'm not moving on. What I want to know is, beyond the balls and strikes and the opening arguments that we can continue talking about, there have been a lot of tea that hasn't spilled because of all the background information. One being that there are 21 million consoles in the Xbox's stable actually, but they hadn't announced that. That kind of slipped out, in addition to all the various studios that they were considering purchasing. So let's table that. After the super chats, we'll get into that, but I want to talk about that, all the potential studio acquisitions that may or may not have happened. Yes, Sega's in that talk. Yes, we'll do that, and all the other things, because there's a lot that has come out before that, but let us address some of these super chats.
We'll have a little bit of CMA talk before we
we'll do that, but let me get back. So right after, there we go. So I'm caught up here. JD Gamer with a $5 super chat saying, I absolutely love the PlayStation fans, fake lawyers in parentheses, that swear that they are so much smarter than Xbots, but then they only can have their job or do their research, but they only have the jobs that they do, and they do their research. Yeah, sure. I don't know, man. I don't know. Everyone.
There are a lot of sofa experts that are talking in this space, and one lawyer, like, even though, like, I have to give the shout out to Luke Smith,
Steele?
and Luke Steele. He came on our show. I had the pleasure of getting to know him after Florian Mueller got involved, and Florian has publicly acknowledged he made an error in that thread. I've got the tweet. He's finally done it.
Okay.
And I didn't appreciate the manner in which he came in, massively condescending on something. And all I did was ask him a question. I said, can you give me one example of where a remand has happened? You came into a thread and said, this is wrong. And then and I said, show me. And I didn't let him go. He speaks generally. Show me, please. He says, this is a very generic question. Here it is. I had to highlight it 3 times. Here, third post. Now show me. And what did he say? I don't have that evidence. So all I said was, well, next time, if you please bring that forward. But thank you for the conversation. That is more civil than I'm usually on social media. And I did not like the fact that he was arguing against Luke Steele. By the way, is not only a mergers and acquisitions lawyer, he's a mergers and acquisitions lawyer at a great law firm. And it doesn't matter if he's in the BVI. It makes no sense. Trust me, he knows what he's talking about. But Luke is only espousing based, and he's still, one, he wants the deal to be done.
Yeah.
He's
let's be clear here. Let's be clear here. There is no slander for Luke Steele here. We appreciate it.
I know you guys. I want people to
wanna...
understand, because I got the Florian Mueller cult. Because he tells you what you want to hear, not what you need to hear. But he's still, Luke is saying that this is still unprecedented. Please don't be fooled by people who tell you sweet, whispering, nice things, but don't have the backing, because ultimately it will make you look stupid, because you, like a cult, are following someone who can't. And I'm not hating on it, but I just hated that element of him. And then then there's a whole ream of things. I'm not going to slander him on your show, but all I'm saying is, look, someone in chat says, I can't believe Gaz arguing with Gaz. He's an actual lawyer. I'm in commercial property. I am not in litigation or mergers and acquisitions. It's a whole different kettle of fish. But being trained as a lawyer, you do
and by the way, let's just real quick, we are working in the background. We would love to have Florian on. Intelligent minds can disagree, and we like that around here, as long as we do it respectfully, and that's all fair game.
Why would you do that? Anyway, that's fine. You can have Florian on. That's fine.
Florian will be on.
I love
it. Absolutely.
That was my best source monologue, by the way. Poor Florian.
Go ahead.
Listen, Florian, if you ever want to chat, sit down. We'll talk about it. There's no problem at all. But I did not appreciate the condescending manner in which you went after Luke Steele, who you have now publicly acknowledged was correct. Never mind. Other than that, all I will say is I've kind of lost track. I just wanted to sing Luke's praises. I think he's a great guy. He's very knowledgeable, and you guys should listen. Please relax. All I'm saying is there is no guarantee that I am at 50-50.
Bro, you know what? You're burying the lead, because the last question I was going to ask is the percentage of chances this is going to succeed. And I think that'll be a very interesting question, because we'll get there. Let me get to this next super chat. Let me get to this next super chat. Wolverine 3. Well, I guess it's XX Wolverine 3 XX with a $5 super chat. Thank you, sir, for being here. He says the FTC confirmed that they had no real grounds for this case and are protecting foreign companies. This is wild to me. This is the problem why people get in their feels, because they see this out and out, on Front Street injustice, presumably, and it just offends. It's very, very interesting situation where we find ourselves in. JD Gamer with a $2 super chat saying that 20% came out of Jim Ryan's back pocket from PlayStation. Yeah, well, it does seem like they have been very much ready to take his talking points to the Front Street if he's willing to give that to them. Wolverine 3 back again here with another $5 and saying, from what I can see, I don't believe the vertical merger even has merger has even ever been blocked. It should have been. I've been shocked that the judge will grant the PI. Well, that's the thing. She seems to be super smart and knowledgeable here, but you can't account, man. I don't know. Everbone, what are your thoughts?
But so I mean, this is my point with the earlier.
And I have a
thing,
few more
right?
super chats coming, so I'm gonna do that too. Go ahead.
So we can on one hand acknowledge, and this is very true, that this is a novel case, which is what Luke says and what Gaz says. But we can on one hand say that you know what, this is novel. This is the biggest purchase in Microsoft and the video gaming industry's history. And even though a vertical merger in this Ninth Circuit of Appeals and in the Northern District of California has never been granted a PI, we're in uncharted waters. And I think the same goes for what we can assume that the CMA will and won't do, and what will and won't happen, because we are in uncharted
waters. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. And of course, JD Gamer still in here showing his support, continuous support. Brother, we appreciate you. He left a $2 super chat and he says, "Let Everborn Saga cook." He is cooking, and we are appreciating the fruits of his labor, sir. And of course, once again, with another $5 super chat, JD Gamer says, "If you believe Dr. Lee is really the real unbiased expert, I have a bridge and a beachfront property, I can tell you, in Antarctica."
Just like James Weingarten. Well, these are PlayStation fans. I believe it in my bones.
Sycamore 7 with a $10 super chat. Thank you for being here, Sycamore. He says, "Let's not forget, the judge said that Sony can be competitive and offer day and date on their service, which in turn would incentivize Sony to be competitive like Microsoft. Sony being hurt is capped." Absolutely. Yeah.
That goes back to the other super chat, and you're talking about consumers being harmed. You have to think about, forget consumers being benefited. You've got a market leader that is resistant to cloud or Game Pass's model for the reason none other than, and do not fall for their narrative that it will dilute the quality of the experiences. It's because they want to maximize and squeeze the juice out of that model to profit
exactly. And you even heard Jim say it. You heard Jim Ryan say it in his deposition when he was being deposed. It's all about shareholder options. It's all about options for their shareholders. Yeah, every once in a while he'll throw PlayStation gamers or PlayStation consumers, but it's never about what's beneficial for them. It's about, and to him, what's beneficial for them is having a healthy market where they can keep making money, that they can keep making games for you. And that's why you should continue wanting it this way, right? That is the needle he's trying to thread, but he's doing that and saying, you want us to take your money, because if we don't take your money, you won't get those bangers you want.
Gaz,
that's literally what he's saying.
Did you know, Gaz, the letter, and I don't know if you read the letter, they showed the letter that Jim Ryan sent to Phil Spencer, and he literally,
and all the stuff he wanted, the honey-do list he wanted.
We would need parity on all Activision games, including in subscriptions,
including ZeniMax.
And it needs to be at financial beneficial terms to us, and we need ZeniMax games.
Bro, did I
not Call of Duty
in an alternate universe where did Sony make the deal? Did they pay 70 billion?
Imagine that.
The balls on this guy. And did you observe the language used comparatively? Jim Ryan's email was blatantly written by their legal team. He didn't even attempt to dress it up like it was his email. Phil Spencer, but by the way, it was quite funny to observe in terms of legal writing. Look, there's this game that lawyers play. Generally, it's like dear. When the moment the dear disappears, it gets already a little bit acrimonious. If in the kind regards becomes regards, it gets a little bit serious. Phil didn't even remove that. There's no cheers, there's no regards. And then on the pros of that letter, you could 100%. A lawyer can identify a letter from or an email or correspondence from another lawyer. And Jim Ryan's email was written with a team of at least 5 of them sitting over. He didn't even send that email.
No, when you started hearing point 2 referring back to point 1, and if you agree to these points, then we could move forward. I'm like,
this is why he had a video deposition.
Is this?
That's what this was. He couldn't sit there and be deposed in real life because he might not be able to remember all the talking points. So he had the lawyers
would crack
help him.
through. He would absolutely 100% agree with you, Asante. He would have crumbled because the litigators in their team have been guiding this whole thing. Yep. The absolute and no wonder Phil's pissed. It's like, are you taking the piss with this email?
Canned
like,
responses.
What are you doing here?
You know, but let's get back on track. We have a few more super chats, and then we'll get to the final topic at hand, and we'll go completely slanderous before the show ends.
I do have to ask a question about the CMA.
We are 3 hours in. We're going as quickly as we can.
I have my show to prepare for as well. Please.
Exactly, and we have other shows to do. JD Gamer with a $5 super chat. Fake big picture PlayStation fans talking about there will be a market harm to consumers because all that will exist is PlayStation Plus and Game Pass. No Steam, no App Store. Very strange. Yeah, that is very, very strange. It's almost like it's only PlayStation or bust or Xbox. Like it's this.
That's the way Sony.
That's the way they're framing it.
The FTC.
Yeah.
It's
very bad.
JD is right.
The Federal Trade Commission is arguing, using pony logic from Spaces. This is where we are right now.
It's so Spaces. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And then we have Stay High _FFF with a $5 super chat. Says, thanks Kay for helping and the advice. I decided to go with the deck. It'll be here tomorrow. Congratulations, sir. Hey, there's a happy customer. If you ever have any issues, you need any help, DM's always open. Let's go.
He had to put in a coupon code Asante to get a discount back.
Man, that doesn't exist, but I really want that coupon code. Hit me up with that coupon code. Hit me with that coupon code. You would make a lot of
bank for that.
What's good? Hit me with that coupon code. And then Sir X-Man is in here. Thank you. Salute to the gray beards in the spot. Sir X-Man's here representing us. He says, with a $2 super chat, he says, people always forget about the 80 million Xbox Live game members. Yeah, that's true. That's kind of a backdrop conversation. Since gold has kind of become a bit of a joke, people forget that it has 80 million plus subscribers that are still strong.
I don't think they have 80 million gold subscribers. Like there's people with accounts.
But remember, it's gold.
How many of them are live?
Well, you know that Microsoft started instituting this automation where if you haven't used your account in X amount of months, it auto unsubscribes you. So the numbers they have, so the numbers they have are the numbers they have. So it is interesting.
Quite high,
it fluctuates.
I don't think that number's correct.
Yeah,
I don't think
it may not be. Well, you know what? Dig through the notes if you can. Maybe we can find it real quick. But it is high. It is high. It's higher than you'd think. Being the Xbox Live Gold is kind of a butt of a lot of jokes now. It's kind of high. So
it's not as high as the other guy who super chatted. Literally said get high. Stay high, FFF. But sorry, let's catch up.
We have Rob the Dawn 202 with a $5 super chat. Thank you for being here. He says, not just use cloud, but continuously use cloud because I used it for 1 week. I visited my mom. This is this is pertaining to Game Pass Ultimate users. Exactly. If you're going to use them as these are the Game Pass users and these are the cloud users, you need to set a barometer that really says, hey, these are the cloud users that use it all the time. You can't just, I tried it real quick, so now they count.
Here's the problem with the market definition of cloud, and we can just move on because that was the last one.
No, it's not. There's one more super chat to go, but continue.
Okay,
so go ahead and I'll come back to that. It's fine. I can answer.
Final super chat. Jacob Novak with the 50 SEK. That's forgive me. Swedish krona. Swedish krona. Thank you so much. And he says, what does it say? I'm again the pony salt. If Sony saves up and tries,
imagine.
I missed it. Yeah, imagine the pony salt. Thank you. If Sony saves up and tries to buy a publisher after ABK, but Xbox and Microsoft fight against them in court and win.
I would love that.
That'd be hilarious.
The justice would be served.
Okay, so in terms of that cloud market, the definition, why I don't even know if they'll win that, because the antitrust definition of a market is not, even though the FTC wants you to believe that, it is not defined by the technology, right? It is this is the legal standard right here, and I want everybody to pay attention to this. If a player in the market raises prices, what are the options for customers to switch to in the event of a price raise? And if they can switch to you, then you are a part of that same market. So if Microsoft raises the price of COD to $150 a pop, you can switch to the Switch,
PC,
the PlayStation PC, but also if you want to say that cloud is a market, people can also switch to, guess what? Playing natively. It is not a separate market. Right? If they raise the cost to access cloud, you can just play natively. That is a legal test. And we can talk about the technology all we want from an antitrust perspective. And please don't take me at my word.
No. This was said by the judges. This was said during the trial. I remember this like specifically, like that specific sentence that you made with, you have this product. It is now debilitating and expensive. Are there alternatives to you getting the product you want, and can you access that? If the answer is yes, then that's part of the market. That was defined on these calls in the last couple of days. So that is without argument.
The judge was not entirely certain that Call of Duty is an essential input.
Yeah.
Which, if you can't pass that test, it's all over.
The unicorn defense.
Because, and she pointed out, WB Games just had Hogwarts Legacy, the biggest selling game of the year. Their FIFA and Madden and all these other things come out every year. Right? There are games that were big and then they're no longer big. The judge said this, not Microsoft's lawyer. So what is the guarantee?
There were certain instances where she was backing up those lawyers even more than the Microsoft lawyers themselves were. There were certain things that she said that I went, this is what the Microsoft lawyer should have said. And then she said it, the judge herself.
But that's why the Microsoft lawyer didn't say anything, because why mess up a good thing? You don't want to throw words into it when the judge is already agreeing with you.
That means the Microsoft lawyers have done their job.
They've done their job.
The judge is making the cost arguments for you.
For them, yes.
Okay, so now we can move on. Oh, the CMA thing. This is going to be very quick, guys. Because my question is, let's say
happy birthday,
Judge Corley.
Wade Johnson. Her birthday, celebrating 4th of July. 47 years old. Happy birthday. Hey. Awesome. I'm sorry. That's real cool.
Yeah, go ahead, continue. King David's birthday is tomorrow.
Wow.
So the question is, if Judge Corley does not grant the PI, what is the best course of action for Microsoft? And the reason I'm asking this, the cat has bent over backwards to expedite this process for Microsoft. And even though the CMA tried to delay it, they said no, they slapped them down publicly. Does Microsoft close over the CMA because Activision says they'll walk away, which they might have just said that because it's beneficial to the...
Of course, to put some pressure on. Yep.
But if Activision is actually going to walk away, does Microsoft close over the CMA or wait? And the reason I'm asking this is because... there's several things. They could be fined up to 10% of their earning, 5%, sorry, which would be $10 billion, right? However,
every year.
Well, yes,
isn't it annually?
But I think it was the way I read it, and I don't know this answer, so I'm not saying that this is the fact, but it's what you made the prior year. So maybe it's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not. Now, I
think it's a one-time thing because somebody, I think in the Facebook case, they ended up just paying it and moving forward. Like it was a one-time thing.
But Facebook didn't pay anywhere near that. But that's a different.
No. True. But I'm just saying it's a different case. Logistics. Yeah.
Right. So the point is, do you close it and say that, well, I believe you blocked it illegally, so we're gonna fight it out in court, and by the time there's any harm, I will, we'll go to court, we'll fight about it. And then when the UK and the US are finally ironing out their trade agreement, I just put some pressure on some politicians and they make a big deal and we make that go away. Or because the alternative is you renegotiate with Activision, and maybe now, because of where their stock is, you end up paying more than the $10 billion.
Yeah. Which you probably would.
Or
Yeah.
you lose the deal. So the question is, do you wait because you could piss off the cat who's been doing you a favor?
Yeah.
But if you can't wait, do you close over them and still hope cat finds in your favor? Because I feel like that would piss off the cat judges.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they'll do that.
Yeah, that is a suspect move. Microsoft being as PR focused as you and I both know they are, right? They always want to purport that.
It's unprecedented. It would send shockwaves as well, just internationally.
Yes.
This deal, Microsoft doing that wouldn't put them in the stead of
such
like
disrespect.
evil corporate.
Yep.
Yeah,
Such disrespect. I don't think they would do it. Yeah, such disrespect.
Well, now here's the last thing I want to say on this, because this is why all of this has been super interesting to me. And I really want to, because Gaz, you're in the UK, so I want to know how you feel about this. So I don't know that the question has been answered that the UK post-Brexit will have, or should have, or does have, I don't know what will, should, does, don't take any meaning from my word or disrespect.
Outsized influence on the global
No,
scale?
not outsized influence. Do they have veto rights on a deal that is adjudicated and hence approved in the US and the EU and China and everywhere else in the world?
Well, they can only speak on their jurisdiction, right?
I understand that, but they're blocking it globally.
And if their jurisdiction blocks it globally, that's not their concern. It's just blocking it.
That's an incidental result of their decision.
That's not their concern.
Right, but they could block it in their country. They could block it and say you can't do it here, but we can't tell you what to do in other countries. But they are saying you can't consummate that deal anywhere else in the world, even though everyone else approved it.
No. So
does the UK
I see your point. Because they're going outside of their own borders.
And I don't know that it has been answered.
It is a suspect situation. I get that. Go ahead, guys. Yeah.
It's the nature of competition law. You can't just, whilst you can make a decision there, you have to take into account the totality of the thing. When you're making that assessment, you take into account the performance of the world. When you're looking at the figures, they weren't looking at profits. They weren't looking at subscribers in the UK alone. They were looking at as a whole. And with competition and the manner in which it works in this global free economy, you cannot divorce that. They can't make that. They will make the decision. It'll be two things. They'll say, we're blocking you here in the UK. But if Microsoft then says, well, okay, we will forget you guys, we'll do it all over the world and butt you, the CMA or regulators, whatever, they will still say, well, you're essentially conducting your own behavioral remedy and putting us out of the picture, so we will impose this fine on you. So it may sound like they're having their cake and eating it, but essentially it's not.
So let me put it to you a different way. Let me put it to you in a different way. If it turns out that South Africa says we want to block this deal.
Stop hating on South Africa.
No, okay, South Korea, wherever, right? Just pick another country. If South Africa, as a matter of fact,
so I guess the question he's asking is, can another country do what they're doing? Have that outsized influence to stop you from doing it anywhere, but your Colombia saying that. So would we take that?
Let's say the UK approved the deal. Let me just ask this question.
And your camera's going down, sir.
I'll change it. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
But UK approves the deal, EU approves the deal, US approves the deal, China approves the deal, everyone else approves it. But South Korea or Colombia says, no, you can't do the deal anywhere in the world.
Would we?
Does the rest of the world?
You're saying they reject the deal?
They reject the deal globally.
Does the rest of the world have to adhere to them vetoing like that? Because that's literally what the UK is doing. Because literally that's what the UK is doing. The influence.
Right? Why is it important that who are the three big players? EU, UK, and the US. Why?
Wait a minute. This comes to the heart of the question that I'm asking, right?
Why do we celebrate those? Because but this is my not point. All countries are equal in terms of influence,
right?
In terms of,
but you're coming to the question that I'm asking, which is the UK post Brexit as powerful as the US
as they used to be? Do they still warrant that deference that they've been getting all this time?
I'm not. By the way, I'm not siding for the UK.
No. It's an interesting question he asks. You know,
Gaz is rooting for the home team. No,
I'm not.
No. He's being ridiculous.
Okay, I mean, you're asking me to espouse whether or not in the post-Brexit does the UK have any influence, and I think as far as this deal is concerned, and everything.
Should they?
The should is irrelevant. I don't think they should. I've said this multiple times. I cannot see why a singular entity can stop a deal of this scale that has gone through the regulatory motion, multiple things. But I mean, should is weird. That's my personal view, and I don't think it should. But will it? We know it does. All of us know that UK has influence. Otherwise, the CMA was a massive gut punch.
I suspect that what Everborn is the point that Everborn is alluding to here now is the fact that post-Brexit, they are now spending some political capital they've built up for some time, and it may not go the way they expect. Before Brexit, they were that superpower, and they did earn that, and it was built in for a long time. Now it seems like they're stretching it a bit. And will the rest of the world take it? Is the question.
I mean, it doesn't matter what the rest of the world is. Will Microsoft take it? And that's the thing. Like Microsoft, I don't know what Microsoft will do. I cannot. I mean, what will Microsoft do?
So imagine they say, "Screw that, we're closing over you. Your influence."
And take a fine.
Yeah, we'll take a fine.
You know, like what does that mean for other industries?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the UK, whether we like it or not. I mean, this tiny island seems to have a lot of influence. I mean,
but remember, on the flip side, when they came out the way they did, and then Microsoft pushed back on them, talking about they're closed for business, just those words sent ripples through their economy and their government to the point where they were even questioned by their own government, saying, "Hey, we hear what the big dogs are saying. Are you closing up for business?" That influence is big, you know. Microsoft also has some influence. Huge. There.
Microsoft has masses of influence, and the UK economy, economy cannot tolerate these kind of hits. It just simply cannot do that. If you're gonna say, especially in light of what Rishi Sunak was talking about, that they want a UK, and the economy needs the UK to be the Silicon Valley of Europe or whatever.
True.
Without Microsoft, how, and their biggest deal ever, what kind of messaging you're sending them?
How you messaging that? That's right.
And Microsoft's influence, this is where I cannot see. Even forget the influence. Everyone has approved it. Censorship.
Gas.
We lost Gas. Oh no!
The UK government got to him.
They sniping him.
Got to him.
He's back.
Conceptually, I cannot understand how
we lost you a little bit.
Can stop this deal. I know that UK cannot be ignored either, but this is where the unprecedented nature of it will manifest itself if the FTC loses. If the FTC wins, then the game is done. I think. Are we going to find this out this week?
Did they say?
And that's the important point. And what I'm getting at is, it's fine to do this now because you have the backing of the FTC, right? Now, and I'm not talking about collusion or anything like that. I'm just saying the FTC is also blocking it, and that is an impediment. But I'm saying if they can't work anything out, because there's a possibility where the FTC loses and then they got like a week, and then they can work out some kind of remedy that's extra on top of whatever the EU got, and they can say we got that, and they can let them close the deal. But what I'm getting at is, I don't know if it is beneficial to the UK to have that question answered, and because as long as it's not answered, they have that power.
You're still good, but if you make people think about it, they may think differently.
And the fact that we are saying, and you're saying this, guys, I'm saying it also, but I'm saying you're agreeing with me. I don't know what Microsoft would do.
Yeah.
Right. You know what you can say? There is no chance that if Microsoft loses this case, that they are closing the deal. You can say that with 1,000% certainty. Can you say with 100% certainty that if this goes Microsoft's way with the FTC, that they won't close over the UK?
My argument is, I cannot see the deal not closing if the FTC loses. That I've always said that. I can't conceive how, but I just cannot see why the deal would not close.
What you're saying is, at this point, it's all on Judge Corley's shoulders. Even though she's not necessarily judging, she's not necessarily making the determination of the case itself, but just that PI alone will be the make or break. The fact that if she fails to grant said PI, we're in the game. If she does, she has effectively just killed this entire thing globally.
Yeah, we know. Crazy. We know that if she grants the PI, the deal is dead. This is why it's so fun. The answer is coming globally. ABK said they're walking out, and they will walk out. I'm pretty sure they will.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no way you're going to litigate for years on a deal. But I do think, like, we'll talk about the chances of success. But I cannot.
You know what? Give me that. Give me that
means.
now, guys. Give me that now. We're at the end, towards the end of our conversation. Okay. I want to know. What do you think? You're an expert in this field. Yes, you don't do M&A law. You are far more capable in this realm than most of us in this chat and on this panel, as you deal with the legal realm far more than we do. Right. So in your estimation, and I'm not saying we're not taking you as Luke Steele or Florian Mueller and all of that. We get that, right? But
Florian Mueller, he's a few levels below me.
There we go.
Yeah,
My question is, as a person who thinks deep about these things, and I value your opinion, sir, what do you think? Like, will we reconvene, and will we see a world where we come back and go, well, they tried that one, it didn't work. Let's move on, right? Let's move on to that Sega acquisition, maybe. Is that what we're going to see in the next couple of days, or are we back in the races? That's what I want to know. Your final look. Will you be stunned at the result?
I'll be stunned at the result either way, but I will say my look. If in a fair world, if the case and the conduct of Microsoft versus FTC's lawyers in this hearing was to determine the outcome, the deal would pass. If the injunction would fail. That I think most people, and I'm not talking about it generally, the perception is the FTC flopped the case. They fumbled. Their over-reliance on the console market and the cloud stuff there's not enough, meat there to actually convincingly make that argument. But then the question is whether or not is it enough for an injunction. That's where it gets a little bit thing. I think freaking J-Dub is going to be in this country, man. Can you imagine the pictures of me and him? We're going to be going out. I'm going to go show him a good time. We're going to have a sick time. But can you imagine his face? It's going to pictures. It's going to be me going, and with a drink in our hands, and then you got freaking J-Dub going, ah! So I need this deal to go through. No, joking aside, my gut is telling me, even though it's very close, it's edging towards Microsoft winning. Because the ramifications are huge. I think
beyond gaming, yeah.
Massively beyond gaming. This is one of the things I was going to mention when Everborn you were talking about this. It's massively beyond gaming. That this would give, in my opinion, unwarranted, maybe another word. Just giving approval to the FTC that has been a horrendously run regulatory body under Lena Khan, almost absolutely hostile to the point of losing the essence of what you were set up to do. Being all this massive warrior.
Remember, the FTC as a benchmark, as an organization, is a benchmark for other organizations that are regulatory bodies that they follow. So like the template of the FTC has been handed to country after country, and they have followed it. That's why you have your regulatory community. And now look how the mighty is falling. It's very stark to see this.
Rebukes in Congress massively. Internally, you've had mass exodus. It is an absolute show at the FTC.
Absolutely.
So losing, even if the judge rightly or wrongly decides to uphold the injunction, if they uphold the injunction, I just feel like the FTC gets a little bit of legitimacy that it does not deserve. It does not deserve this injunction. Forget the fanboy and all of that. On the merits of it, it should pass. But we'll find out. And then we'll have to talk about what this means if it fails.
Absolutely.
Because if it fails,
then
these streets are going to be so messy. There's going to be so much mess. I'm not gonna do any work. Oh, it's gonna be mad.
Oh well,
Mr. Everborn Saga, last word from you.
Who got any work done last week?
Bro, you saw the video I posted for games I've been playing. I didn't get to play anything. I was too busy listening to all the.
Gaz. Let me tell you something. I was on conference calls for work. With one ear halfway listening to the conference call, the other ear listening to the case. It was wild. Somebody said on Twitter, this was like the OJ case for gamers. And this is the most hilarious thing, because whenever you see somebody like, oh, I'm so tired of hearing about the FTC, I'm gonna mute it, but they're in everybody's thread with the commentary on it. Stop pretending you don't care about it. This is on every
Everborn Saga.
Don't talk about it.
Everborn Saga. Stop the bloviating. It's time. Give me your end result.
More.
Give me your end result, Everborn.
More. I like the bloviate.
What happens? What happens? Do we see? First off, give me your percentage of success. Just a percentage of success. And what world? When we convene again next time, when we're here, when we're talking slanderous, when Paris Lily joins us next week, which shout out to Paris Lily, he will be joining us next week. Will we be talking about Judge Corley knocking it out the park, and oh my God, it's amazing, we're moving forward, or will there be a lot of wounds that'll be licking right now? What are your thoughts?
Well, there's going to be wounds either way, but I'm going to pull a Jez, and I'm going to fakely say I think they're going to get the injunction. Why? Because I don't want to jinx it.
I don't want to jinx it.
I don't want to jinx it, and I'm trying to trick the universe, so I think the FTC is going to win. That's my answer on the record.
Because I was feeling the same way as well. But yeah, I know. I love it.
Yep. Bro, I feel you, man. Let me
tell
tell you.
Anything else other than that? Because
What's your percentage? What's your percentage?
Percentage is 60-40 in the FTC's favor.
Oh, that's a bit steep, bro.
You know what? 70-30 in FTC's favor.
3.33
bro,
repeating.
I'm kind of with you, Everborn. Even though you and I are lockstep in all of this.
60-40.
We are lockstep. I am telling you, I enjoy disagreeing with Everborn Saga, but on this, we are in lockstep. Like, I agree with all the points he makes. There is no reason that this is going to go a certain way, but you can't account for crazy, and politics is a bitch, and there's just so much beyond the merit going on right now that it makes me go, ugh.
I'm going to add to what you're saying, KSon. There is nothing I saw in that case that proves the FTC should get the injunction.
Sure.
But they will get it anyway.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
Not one argument was proven by the FTC.
Yep.
But they will get the preliminary injunction.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I'm not saying they will.
For the record.
For me, I'm not saying they will, but if and when they do,
no, you got to give a percentage.
I will unfortunately not. Well, I told you I'm on your page. I'm 60-40.
Agrees with you.
I'm 60-40, just like you. If and when they do get this injunction, I won't be surprised. I'll just be like, yeah. To me, this is like I've lived through various other crazies, right? I've lived through Roe versus Wade getting overturned. I've lived through Trump getting elected.
That was a win.
You know, I've lived through all this stuff. So now when we're at that crossroads, I'm like, well, it's probably gonna go the other way again. That's what
I'll tell you what,
right
people. If this deal gets, part of me does want it. Like, why am I excited if the deal gets rejected? You know what? The best thing about all of this, the best thing that no one really factors in, is the animosity between these two companies. The sauce, the splintering, the agitation, the anger, the freaking venom. If this deal fails,
can we agree?
Is going to be next on PlayStation, guys.
Can we agree that if this deal fails, all the internal monologuing that Microsoft was doing, even though they were mea culping on the outside, we're gonna start hearing that on Front Street. You're gonna hear the booty. Matt Booty's gonna come out like with the bat. He's gonna be. He's gonna be. It's gonna be the Matt Booty we want. Go ahead.
King David. This is the rise of Dark Phil. Because Phil, after all of the nice talk, he's the one who gave Order 66 on ZeniMax. He said everything's exclusive.
True.
I don't care what we said.
Case
by case.
You know what? Even to the point, yes, the ZeniMax thing, you could have said all that. Indiana Jones. They opened the pocket and they went
Yes.
exclusive. They went multi-plat. No, sir.
And he
Mine.
specifically said,
Wow.
I did that because you did Spider-Man.
There you go.
He said, I bought ZeniMax because you tried to get Starfield exclusive.
That's
I am
right.
telling you, if
Yeah.
he did that as a reaction to what Sony did,
Yep.
if Sony used the FTC to get this deal blocked, what do you think he's gonna do?
Scorched earth, baby. Scorched earth. It's gonna be interesting.
Bro.
It's gonna be interesting. Yeah.
Make Colin
Yeah.
Moriarty pay. That's what
Oh,
I'll-
stop it. Stop it. This is the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. We are at
Well, we
3
gotta
hours
talk-
and 28 minutes, sir. 3 hours and 28 minutes.
We got to talk about the potentials.
Hit me with the
we
potentials
gotta
quickly.
do that next
Chop,
week.
chop.
Okay, go.
Okay,
Chop, chop.
very quick.
I know you want your
You
Sega talk.
thought
Go
I
for it.
was
Go.
wrong, but I
was right
knew it all
along.
along.
Yeah. Go
I
ahead, go ahead.
told you that
Go
they
ahead.
were looking at Sega. Told you it was gonna happen, and the only reason it did, because as late as April 2021, they said it was the number one of their acquisition targets, and I
Mhm.
got the evidence and the proof, Your Honor.
Now, my
Mm.
question
Got
to
the
you on that.
document done.
My question
Now,
to you on that, though, Everborn. We've already known, and it's been said many a times, the acquisition you hear about is the acquisition that doesn't happen. What do you think about that?
right, but this we're hearing about this through Discovery.
But you're
We're
still
not
hearing about it.
through. No,
But
that's
you're
different. That's
hearing
not how
about-
the rule works. That's not the rule. That is not the rule. The rule is that if you hear a rumor of an acquisition, it is already dead, right? This is not a rumor. This is a document dump from a court case. It is very different. And by the way, Sega already breaks that rule because we heard the rumor about Sega and Rovio 2 days before it actually
Well,
came
but that's
real.
different. That's different.
So-
Sega basically ceded ground on that one. They leaked it themselves. That was a whole different conversation.
That was Rovio
But
trying to
continue.
get 900 million instead of 700 million, but that's neither here nor there.
Yes, sir.
For me, it will be wild if the deal gets blocked, but we know the targets now. And what did Sega say when they asked them? Not for now.
No, yeah, true. They have a strategic partnership. Not
And
now.
they said Microsoft values them more than Sony and Nintendo do.
Which obvious. That's obvious, right? Absolutely.
So, you have two.
That's significant.
You have. We know Microsoft wants them because we got the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Sega knows how they're valued. And by the way, you know when they started talking about this Activision deal in November of 2021. You know when they announced the deal, the partnership between the official partnership that Sarabon brokered between Sega and Microsoft in November. So this is like they were moving towards the acquisition. ABK comes into play. They say, hold on a minute. This is a way for us to funnel you some money.
Strategic partnership for now, and then we'll get ABK. We'll be back.
Right.
That's basically what it seems
and
like. Okay.
Sarabon just happens to go on vacation.
And then Everborn Saga does
Sega building.
and
I know that's
Zoom.
not. I know that is not their headquarters anymore. They sold that building. It's the same thing they did at Akihabara in Japan.
Swear to God, to God, they did that just for Everborn Saga. I swear, no one can convince me differently.
Took the picture of the Sega building,
bruv.
They're flirting with each other.
And they did that. No, they did that. They didn't take a picture while in front. They did it in the background because they knew that Everborn Saga would have to do that. The movie thing, enhance. And
I don't think people realize how obscure a location that is.
That is.
Like, you're in London. It is so.
You don't go there by mistake.
That's right.
Yeah, you don't go there by mistake.
That's right.
It's on the M4 leading. I've seen it a few times because when I'm driving it in and out of London, you take pictures of you're about to go into London. You take picture of that. You even look at the picture, bro. It's just a crusty highway and look massive guardrail on that. That is done for a reason. Whether or not it's consolidation talk or something else, but there's 100 trillion%. If you don't believe that, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know.
You know what? I will let the super chats be the final word here, and then we're gonna close it out. Tim Purr 21 with a $10 Canadian saying, as a Canadian eating my ketchup and chips and watching the US, you can't account for crazy. And the deal will get blocked. Silver lining, Xbox gets Sega forever born. Thank you, sir.
Listen, that is a net positive for me. I
Uh-huh.
said in the beginning, I don't play Activision games. I need this to be. I love this deal for the salt, but I need this to be over so they can get back to where their eyes literally were. I'm not making it up anymore.
Yep.
And the final word for the day, Mr. Hargeet Chani in here. Thank you, sir, for being here with a $5 super chat. Shout out to Hargeet. He says, pretty sure I've been saying Square and Sega are a good target for Xbox, with a smiley face. Thank you, Hargeet. We remember. We remember. Oh, and of course, now they're gonna start doing us like ILP. We'll take the money. Thank you so much. Pause. You're ruining the show. You're ruining my flow, man.
I want to answer this one.
Well, then read it. You read it. You read it. Read it and answer it.
Okay. The question is, how soon do investors flee ABK if the Activision deal is blocked due to
$5 super chat
behavior? I'm gonna tell you right now. Read the name, Roshan.
Yeah,
Eppinger. The answer is they don't go anywhere. If you look at Wall Street right now, and this is the reason they won't extend the deal. Wall Street is saying if you look, Activision has had
they're better now than they were.
Biggest quarters ever. Now that doesn't I used to be a technology analyst at Citigroup, and what that means, I wrote the software that the traders use. It doesn't mean that I was like an analyst that you would consider in the traditional sense, but I'm familiar with these things, right? Worked on the trader floor. What they're not taking into account is that part of the reason that Activision has done so well in these last 2 quarters and why they are valued, and people are saying Microsoft is getting a steal, and their investors probably feel like they'll get more money. One, they're not taking into account that Overwatch just launched. That's not a yearly thing. And Diablo launches once a decade.
Also not a yearly thing.
Right? That will not be the case next year. And they could have another Vanguard.
Oh, and also,
right?
They were, when this whole ABK thing started, they were falling off a cliff of one crazy headline after another of crazy scandal. And the minute Microsoft said they were going to purchase them, that was put in the jar and left in suspended animation. So people have nice feelings about that now because it's all ABK talk. The minute this deal goes away, all that crazy, what do you call it? Bill Cosby room madness comes flushing back into the room.
I don't know that that's the case, but to finish this point,
because remember, they still have pending lawsuits in that.
Right, but the lawsuit that they have pending is Activision suing the state of California. But the thing is, to consider is that the Activision stock has actually benefited from a year and a half of every regulator around the world and Sony saying it is the most important IP and you cannot live without it. And they've gotten so much free marketing that once this deal is over, I don't know that kind of talk continues, because obviously it was convenient talk. I see you, Splendid Verse. Asante has a lot of pause-worthy moments. Just say it. But look, again,
man. Go ahead.
For right now, I don't think the regulators are going anywhere because Wall Street is in love with the stock, and this is the reason they will walk away from the deal, because they think even without the Microsoft thing, they'd value the stock at like $90 a share. So I think they'll be fine. And by the way, if Bobby's making them money, he's not going anywhere. I'm telling you that right now, Bobby.
So get ready for your pitchforks.
Anything.
Get ready for your pitchfork. If you think this will culminate with Bobby, if this deal doesn't close, Bobby ain't going nowhere. Get your pitchforks ready.
Bobby might not go anywhere for a while after the deal.
After the deal closes, yes. Because remember, limited integration. Limited integration. Yes, it may be a year or two before you hear Bobby exit stage left. Who knows? But let's end it
all
here.
Of their legal troubles are done. You got to
let us end it here. Oh Lord, you see, we can't get out of here. We got JD Gamer, who's insisting on keeping us. They're trying to make sure we have a 4-hour podcast. And he's saying, Sega.
Keep the super chats coming. Don't listen to K Asante. We appreciate it. Look at this guy got rich and switch. He's like, oh, hey man, don't throw your money at me.
I'm trying to make sure my wife does not get upset with me for over podcasting this weekend, sir.
You have another 21 minutes. So you said under.
No,
4
we
hours.
don't. I'm gonna do my
show. I said under 3. Fine. So there you go.
Fine.
Mr. Gaz, we appreciate you being here, sir. You are brilliant. Every time you speak, you bring the sauce. You shroud the sauce, and you put the nugget of good detail right in the middle. And those who are ridiculous enough not to pay attention, all they hear is the sauce. They don't hear the nuggets, but the nuggets are there. We appreciate you, sir. Thank you for being here.
You.
Tell the fine people where else they can find you today and moving forward.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure being on this show, man. I had a great time, and the hours did fly by. So thank you. It really did. A motherfucker, JD, you piece of shit. Let's just talk about the 58 million Xbox One consoles that sold. Another 30 million the PlayStation fans will have you believe. Yeah, great point.
Thank you.
Now that we've tackled that point, I'm going to be on Game On Daily in a few hours. I've got Gene Park and I've got Colt Eastwood. We're going to talk about this shit all over
Gene
again.
Park.
Thank you so much. See you soon.
Excellent guest, Gene Park. I'm looking forward to it. And Mr. Everborn Saga.
Real quick, Everborn Saga everywhere. Go to everbornsaga.com. You can buy all the comics for $50, 300 pages, 6 chapters, and we're working on Ariel's Adventure Chapter 2 plus the Ariel's Adventure game and the Redlands game in process. That's it.
You know what to do. Go on them Twitter streets. Let Xbox know we want to see the Ariel Adventure game on Xbox in Game Pass. Let's go. Let's throw the bag at people who could use the bag. Let's get some. This is what I'm denoting as a callback to that conversation we're talking about with Square. Yeah, let's get him in the room. Let's get Everborn's game on Game Pass. You can do that. You know P3's email address. You know P3's Twitter handle. Go.
Sarah Bond is who I need to talk to.
There you go. There you go. And then maybe we can get the Queen Sarah Bond to bless us on our show one day.
Who's going to be the one to bring
with an interview? Home, by the way. But yes, You have had your nice fill of slander for your Saturday morning. You can now go forth and watch all the other great shows that are happening. You can also check out all the other awesome content that will be out there this weekend. Salute to all my Americans out there. Happy 4th of July. Don't drink too much. Don't freaking light them damn fireworks in your hand. Don't be foolish. Huh? I'm
don't light them in front of my house because I don't want to clean up your fireworks.
Me neither. I'm 42 years old and I have all my digits because I was smart. Be smart. Come on, be smart. But until next week, it's been a great conversation. Catch us on the Lord's Day on Sunday. Catch me on the Gamers Council on Sunday night. And tonight on the Shop Podcast with PTK Bland. But until then, we'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
Nice to be in orbit.